What's going on, Evil family? Thank you for tuning in to episode number 34 of Pure Evil MMA. But before we kick today's shows off with our stellar lineup, we got some MMA news coming at you. It would be wicked if you guys can help us out. It would help us out a lot if you can give us 5 stars down below and give us a quick comment how you think we're doing, anything that you guys would like to see on the next episode. It really helps our ratings out. It's how iTunes and Podbean works. Make sure to share this podcast with all your MMA friends and family. Let's jump into today's show. We got a stellar lineup, like I said. A couple of champs coming to the table. Let's jump right into episode number 34. Enjoy.
May I have your attention, please?
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Jose Shorty Torres, the Titan FC Flyweight Interim Champion.
Hey everyone, it's the champ, Pure Evil.
Hey, this is Rafian Stat.
It's Bellator's Blair Tugman.
This is Bilal Muhammad.
Hey guys, this is Ted Check.
This is Ron, this is Choir Boy Stallman.
Hey guys, it's Brennan Allen.
This is Joseph Correa, founder of Frontproof Media.
Hey, this is Ed Carbajal.
Daniel Zaldivar from Frontproof Media and Frontproof Media.
Frontproofmedia.com.
You're listening to
Pure Evil.
Pure Evil.
Pure Evil.
Pure Evil.
Pure Evil.
Pure Evil.
Pure Evil MMA.
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 You're listening to Pure Evil MMA.
You're listening to Pure Evil MMA.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Pure Evil MMA. You're listening to episode number 34 already. Can you even believe it? I'm your host, like always, Evil Eddie from FrontProofMedia.com. Thanks for tuning in today because we have a great show set up for you. So whether it's your first sip of coffee, you're on your morning commute, you're at the gym, shoveling snow, or even tanning, we have a star-studded lineup for you and it's coming at you now. First up, Jimmie Rivera, UFC number 4 ranked Bantamweight, who just took out Uriah Faber, who is going to be next in line for the title shot maybe. He's going to be joining us. Jose Shorty Torres from Titan FC, the champ, is here today. He's going to be fighting this weekend, January 21st, on UFC Fightpass. You don't want to miss that. Big Billy Swanson, Justin Goodin, Logan Hunter Neal, and more, guys. Make sure to follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Pure Evil MMA. I'll give you my Snap and Instagram in just a little bit. We have some winners to announce for UFC PICKEM, UFC Phoenix. What a night. And we're going to be recapping and reliving some of the special moments. It was a crazy week in MMA. We're going to discuss the headlines, some MMA trivia coming at you. Thanks for tuning in. Let's start off with a bang. Sit back, relax, and let's go.
Hey guys, this is Jimmie Rivera, UFC Bantamweight, and you're listening to Pure Evil MMA.
So I hope you guys all had a great weekend. It was a frustrating weekend, nonetheless. I mean, last week we left off talking about BJ Penn going up against Yair Rodriguez. We didn't know what to really expect from BJ. We do know that his last couple of fights, when he was an active fighter, weren't that good. You know, Frankie Edgar fight, but we didn't know what we were gonna see. And I was so excited when I heard that he was gonna return. All my MMA friends and family was all like, "Do you really want to see him return?" Well, that depends. It matters who it's going to be against. When they announced it was going to be against Dennis Seaver, that was perfect. And then they threw out Ricardo Lamas. I was like, all right, I'd rather see him fight Seaver, but okay, we'll take it. And then they announced Yair Rodriguez. The second they announced that, the way that Twitter and social media altogether just reacted, everyone was just like, okay, why are you having BJ Penn, who's coming off a retirement, who hasn't looked that good, fight one of your new bright up-and-comers? And it's almost like the UFC knew that BJ wasn't going to do good. It was just very weird because they did very little to promote the fight. They did very little to promote BJ in any type of way. It was almost like they didn't want to put too much into it because they didn't have much faith in him. Well, I didn't have much faith in his return until I started talking with his teammates, his sparring partners, and then when we saw him at the open workouts, he looked confident, he looked happy, he looked like he wanted to be there and that he had purpose to fight. He looked very confident as well, and he even left the room saying, You know, everyone's saying it's a new era versus old school era versus new school era. Well, you know what? Beating ass is as ageless as time. And I was like, all right, I'm on board. And then we saw him at the weigh-ins staring down Yair. Like, are you going to do a stare down with me or what, bro? He was trying to get everything he could out of it. He was really enjoying the experience. Therefore, I was like, wow, maybe everybody is really undermining EJ here. Maybe we can expect a killer to come in there and shock the world. And let me tell you now, if he did beat Yair Rodriguez, everyone was going to be shocked. Well, he went in there, and he did not look good at all. We're going to be discussing some of this in just a second, guys. But first up, the one thing that we have to discuss for any of this is the new rule changes. You know, Joe Lozon stepping in there, not thinking that he won the fight. We got to remember there's new rules. Joe scored points from his back. We got to remember there's 10-8 rounds now. People are you might even see a 10-7 round, which I'm completely against. Other honorable mentions in this fight, of course, is Amanda Nunes' girl, Ansaroff, going first and second round before sinking in the submission win. After the fight, she went into the octagon to say that what pumped her up and motivated her the most was watching her girlfriend Amanda kick Ronda's ass. I was like, oh my god. And have you guys realized that usually on TV you see like 5 Ronda commercials a day at least? If you guys are out there that watch TV a lot, you see Ronda on there a lot. Since her loss, I think I've seen her once or twice on a commercial. It's almost like they cut back the commercials that she was in. And it's kind of crazy, but you know what? It's fighting, and it's her second loss. This girl wasn't beaten 5 times into the ground. She's had 2 rough fights. She's on a big pedestal. But congratulations for Ansaroff. I know there's listeners out there going right now, Ed, let go of it. Ronda lost, bro. My girlfriend hates that I'm like hung up on this. It's hard for me to accept. You know, Amanda, I wasn't denying Amanda, but whatever. What's done is done. I just wanted to make that quick little side note about the commercials, because it's something I might be a conspiracy theory of mine. I might be getting all Eddie Bravo on you, but for real, check it out. Today, if you guys are watching TV, you usually see about 5 commercials with Ronda. I don't see a single one. All right, also, we saw an Ezekiel choke go down by Ilyanik. No surprise, we've been watching that dude forever. You know, he's beaten some legendary fighters back in the day. Not many people are familiar with him, but you know, seeing that Ezekiel choke brings him right back to the light. Definitely going to be in talk towards the end of the year of submission of the year. Frankie Saenz going in there against Mendez. Mendez winning by decision. Powell versus Close wasn't even close, like everybody on Twitter was saying. Powell loses. You know, we saw him on Dana White looking for a fight. It was his debut fight, and he took a lot of punches. He's got a good chin. He's got a great kick, and his opponent knew that. He knew that the only thing that this guy was going to bring to the table was the kick, and that he could take shots. Well, Close won round after round on my card and also on the judges. Then we had Sergio Pettis going there. Beforehand, everybody had Sergio as the favorite going in there against Moraga, and Moraga's got beautiful power. He's just been this is now his 3rd fight in a row that he's lost, unfortunately. And Pettis, he's on a streak. I think this might be the 4th fight he's won. He had amazing kicks, amazing counters. He won every single round on my card. Moving forward, he wants to get a rematch, apparently. And then we had Court McGee versus Saunders. Very hard to judge that fight. A lot of people were freaking out on that on Twitter. You know, I had the first round. I had McGee losing the first round, but winning the second and third. Other people argue it's quite the opposite. Seemed like a lot of people were just very confused on what the judges were seeing. And that brings up the next fight. Joe Lozon versus Marcin Held. Held had great top control, the takedowns. But you know what? Joe Lozon was landing some powerful bombs. Hurt Marcin Held a couple of times. Even almost got him in the armbar at one point, if you guys remember. Great fight. There were a lot of high points of UFC Phoenix. And then BJ Penn walking out. I was feeling it. I was at the edge of my seat. I was literally shaking. My jaw got all tense. I was biting my lip, just so nervous. And about a minute into the fight, I kind of just like let go of this breath, and I was like, oh man, it's not going to go the way I expected. Or is it? Is this what I should have expected? DJ got rocked a couple of times, did that wiggle dance. It's very hard to see. You do not want to see people that you've fighters or idols go out like that. And that brings us to our next question. Will this be the last time BJ ever steps back into the octagon? Well, I don't know. I wish he fought somebody like Dennis Seaver, like I just said. How would he do in Bellator or one of these other promotions? I don't know, because I don't know what to expect. You know, I didn't really get much out of it. I didn't really see him perform even. It didn't seem like he was even fighting, really. He landed, we'll give him this, he landed a couple of nice shots that could have done damage, but if we look at the tapes of him getting ready for these fights, even the sparring matches, he was throwing everything he had, like he could take anybody's head off. Was it the fact that he got ready for this fight 3 times in a row that kind of, took a little of the air out of him? I don't know what it was. I know that it's BJ Penn, and he hasn't been performing to his best ability. It's sad to see. Yair Rodriguez, I would like to see him maybe fight Jeremy Stephens next. What do you guys think? Let me know on Twitter at Pure Evil MMA. Let's jump into our first interview. I got the surprise guest. I've been tweeting about it all week on Twitter. Jimmie Rivera, the number 4 ranked bantamweight in the UFC. What's next for him? Could he be fighting the winner of TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Nolov? Will he be fighting Dominick Cruz next? Who knows? That division's stacked. Let's hear what Jimmie has to say. And
good morning.
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. How you doing is the real question. I know that you were supposed to have a fight with Brian Caraway. Unfortunately, that didn't go through, and then you had the eye poke from Uriah. First off, how's your eye doing?
My eye's good. It's back to normal. I'm good. I've been training, obviously, because I had the fight. It's feeling as good as it's gonna get.
Well, how long did you have that bandage on? Because we all saw those pictures afterwards. You were like out to eat after the fight. You had that big pirate bandage over your face. How long were you wearing that for?
For a couple days. Once the doctor gave me the clear, I saw, it was really sensitive to light, so it actually helped. He's like, if you still want to use it, it's still sensitive to light, or otherwise you can just, you don't have to use it. I'm like, all right, no problem. I'll stop using it.
And then, of course, this weekend, we just saw BJ Penn go in there against Yair Rodriguez. Were you able to watch this fight? And, of course, what did you think of, BJ's performance? And everyone on that card, I thought, did an amazing job. But when BJ got in there, it was hard for me to watch. I just want to hear what you had to say about, BJ's performance and especially Yair.
Yair, is very talented. But he's got a couple holes in his game. And you got BJ Penn, who just, he has all the talent in the world. Just, I feel like he didn't fight the fight right, to be honest with you. You got a guy that's a really big kicker. You can't give him the space. You have to close the distance and stay in on him, even take him down and use his grappling. His jiu-jitsu is unbelievable. So, he should have took him down and took him down on the ground and kept the distance close. So it was a good fight though. A quick fight, and you feel bad for BJ. He takes all his layoff, he comes in and has a tough fight.
I know, man. When they said that he was coming back against Dennis Seaver, I was like, that's perfect for BJ to come back. And they're like, oh, it's going to be against Yair. Well, there was a couple opponents, but we ended up with Yair, and I was like, oh, man, this isn't good. It almost reminded me of the Johnny Hendricks versus Wonder Boy fight in a way. He just didn't have an answer for those kicks. He didn't know what to do in there. Of course, you were supposed to have your fight with Brian Caraway. What do you think happened, with Brian? Why do you think this fight fell through?
I think he was just looking for any way out. You know what I mean? He said he hurt his shoulder and tried to apologize to me on social media. I'm like, dude, I know in the beginning you didn't want to fight me. He said it wasn't a good fight for him. He hasn't, he's ducked me twice. This is the 3rd time already. His manager didn't want the fight somehow. Maybe he was forced into the fight and he took it. But literally 2 weeks before the fight, he's, out and says he hurts his, labrum. He tore some. I just think he was looking for whatever way he could to get out of the fight. This dead and son, because, he's saying, oh, his doctor said no, this and that. I'm like, your doctor recommends whatever you want, recommends whatever you say at the end of the day. If you want to compete, you can go compete. I know plenty of doctors come from being in sport where, be like, I'll find a doctor that's going to let me compete and fight.
So what do you think you're going to be doing next? I mean, this fight fell through. I love this fight. You've been having an amazing career, nonetheless. I mean, a lot of my fans remember you from King of the Cage, Ultimate Fighter, which Caraway was on that season, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think's next for you? Where are you heading right now?
I don't know. I'm hoping. I was hoping, maybe get a push for the title fight, but you see Cody and TJ fighting for it, so it's okay. So, the next best thing is, either finally get to fight Caraway or even better, get to fight Dominick Cruz and, let him think it's his tune-up fight, but then do the same thing I did to Faber and retire him too. That'd be great. It doesn't matter whoever they put in front of me. I train for it. I'm going to beat him. But obviously I want to keep propelling forward and keep going forward. So, if obviously Caraway didn't want to take the fight, this is the third time. He even faked injury to get out of a fight. So I did the most logical sense is to fight Cruz and make that the next step and keep propelling up.
How do you think you would match up against Dominick? Of course, we all know he has got that amazing footwork, and then that fight with Cody No Love. I mean, he wasn't playing his game like we said at the beginning of the interview with BJ. I mean, we're usually used to seeing him play more defensive style, and in this he was getting emotional. It seemed like he wanted to shut Cody down. He was getting frustrated. How do you think you would match up against Dominick Cruz?
I think I match up great against him. I mean, look, you got Cody, who's a good boxer, but I'm a better boxer. I'm way better than Cody is. And, you look at what Cody did to Dominick Cruz, I'm going to do even better against him. I mean, you come down to, look, what does Cruz have? Some simple strikes who are not effective at all because he doesn't even plant his feet and set up his takedown. That's it. You know what I mean? He couldn't take Cody down. There's no way I could, I'm going to get taken down. Faber could even take me down. And Faber was able to take down Cruz. So when it comes down to it, I matched up really well with him. I'm going to go in there and beat him and then go on to the next best thing, which is, that's a great fight for me. Go over there and beat him, fight for the belt next. He's no one ranked guy. You know what I mean? It makes the most sense.
I got to ask you, man, what was it like stepping in there with Uriah? Because you're my age, and I remember in high school I was a huge fan of Uriah Faber. He was like the poster boy for MMA. And, you step in there and you've had an amazing career. Everyone has been talking about you for the past couple of years. Me and Steve Reichel from K-Side Submissions were like, here we go. This is Jimmy's chance. What did it feel like when you got in there with Uriah? And then you get the win. I mean, oh, man, that did so much for you to jump in there and everyone's recognizing you now. You're at the top of the division. What did it feel like? Once those cage doors closed, you're standing across the cage from, one of my idols, probably one of your idols as well. What was that like?
It was unbelievable. Well, first of all, walking in there and being able to, Uriah Faber, the guy I grew up watching, too, punching me and I'm defending everything. It was unbelievable. I'm like, all right, now he's attacking me and trying to hit me and stuff, and I'm defending. I'm like, man, this guy has nothing for me. It was crazy. It was unbelievable, but it was still. I was shocked, like starstruck at the beginning. I said I wouldn't get it, but I did anyway. It was kind of hard, and as the rounds went on and as the time went on around, I started putting it on more until that third round where I had one eye and, I had to play it safe a little because I'm fighting with one eye. I got to do, it's kind of hard, so, but I was able still to finish him and beat him. And I think, honestly, I went in there, I beat him, and I didn't get that much recognition. I got more recognition not taking a fight this past weekend than being a legend that's been around forever, which is, I think it's some bullshit, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? They wanted me to fight some schmagoo or some nobody. Both people were nobodies, and it wasn't going to help me at all. It was just a paycheck. And I tell people all the time, I've been in this sport. I got signed almost 2 years ago. I fought Marcus Bramage on a 2-week notice. Yeah. Then I fight Pedro Munoz in his hometown in Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Then I fight Yuri Alcantara, who nobody wants to fight. I fight him so I could get into the rankings. And then I take the next fight, which was supposed to be Caraway again. Caraway says, no, I don't want to fight him, and leads me to Uriah Faber because they gave me 4 other choices. After that was, Eduardo, Dotson, Sterling, or Faber. I'm like, that's a no-brainer. I want to fight Faber. Why would I fight anybody else? He's at the top of the list. So, when they gave me the alternates, it just, it didn't make sense. I jumped the gun a little bit. My emotions got over me because, I trained through November where I didn't get, I got married in November, didn't get to enjoy my honeymoon, didn't get to enjoy Thanksgiving, Christmas time, didn't get to enjoy New Year's. I was in bed before the ball dropped. Now 2 weeks before the fight, Kerry says, oh, I hurt my shoulder. I'm like, which is bullshit. He's just fucking scared at the end of the day. And he's a little pussy. But That's what it is. So it was crazy to go in there, Faber, and grow up watching him, and go in there and get the W. Obviously meant the most. And I was upset I didn't get to knock him out, but my coach put in the best words. If you didn't knock him out, if you would have knocked him out, everybody would thought I got lucky. The fact that I beat him 30-27 all 3 rounds shows you I didn't get lucky. You know what I mean? And that's why I said, there's no point in fighting Cruz, because Cruz had a hard time with Faber. I walked through Faber. TJ I sparred a couple years back. He's good, but like I said, he hits like a girl. He doesn't hit hard. He's okay. He's not that great. People think, it was eye opener. 3 years ago, I got to actually grapple Faber. I did one or 2 rounds with him grappling, and I got to kickbox and grapple TJ. And I'm like, wow, these guys, I can't believe I get to train with them. It was really cool. It was before I got in the UFC or anything. And I got to train with them. I'm like, these guys, I thought they were supposed to be elite. These guys aren't good. I'm better than them. This is, it was a boost of confidence to see and go to train with someone like that. And you're like, holy shit, I'm better than them. You know what I mean? And after that, I fought in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and I met Mark Henry. And I got to go train with Frankie Yeager. And I'm like, Frankie's good, but I'm like, I could stand toe-to-toe with Frankie. I'm like, so it's like you see this and it's a confidence booster. And sometimes you put the people on a pedestal, but you realize they're the same as you, first of all. And they bleed the same color, have the same limbs as you. But then you realize where their skill level's at, and you're like, so it doesn't matter. They put someone in front of me, I'll train for them, and I'll pick them apart and was videotape, and I'll see what their weaknesses are, and I'll exploit them, and I'll take them and I'll beat them, and that's it.
Well, Cody was kind of saying the same thing about TJ, and I can see that. TJ finishes guys later on in the fight, usually the 3rd or 4th. Cody Noble going in there finishing guys. Faber, a lot of people don't even give a lot of credit to, but he'll beat anybody who isn't holding that belt around his waist. And
no, went in there. That's not true. That's not true at all, because that was nobody that beat him.
Yeah, I'm saying that Faber, he's a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for, and you.
Well, yeah. You're right. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. My apologies.
No, I do that all the time, brother. But my question to you is, Cody Noble is saying the same thing that you're saying. How do you think he'll match up against TJ Dillashaw? Because he sparred with him before. He's saying the same things that you have,
Well, he sparred with him all the time. I mean, they trained all the time together. So when you match them up, you honestly you don't really know. I mean, I got to train one time with TJ, and it was funny because I asked my coach the other day, I'm like, can you send me the footage so I could just watch it? And I forgot. Honestly, I know I did well, but I forgot how well I did against him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially that he was in a training camp. I was just chilling training, so it was funny. Yeah, you don't know. It's kind of like they know each other so well. You don't know how the fight's going to be. It could go either way. You don't really know how they train and train it. You know what I mean? I know how I was with TJ, and I was able to beat him up, but you don't know how Cody and TJ train. Supposedly, you heard that Cody was like, yeah, I knocked him out. I'm like, I mean, it's anything can happen. So with that fight, anything can happen. Well, does Cody hit hard? Yeah, I think Cody hits hard. You watch his other fights, he hits hard. He has a good right hand, but sparring TJ hit hard. Nah, TJ doesn't hit hard. So it's like, I don't know what's really going to happen. But TJ looks like a good, TJ's a good wrestler. Well, he looked good wrestling his last fight, but he fought a bloated 25er who can't wrestle or grapple. He just swings for the fences. So it's like, you don't really know.
So for our sport, do you think that those two guys as coaches is going to be good for this season, the Ultimate Fighter? Or do you think the UFC could have picked somebody better for this season?
No, I think they picked him, and I understand because it's a business at the end of the day. They got to make money. They have a lot of history. There's a lot of drama between the two. You know what I mean? You had TJ who left the camp. You have Cody who still stayed, was alpha male, and there's a lot of drama between the two, and they're gonna try to hype it up. You're only going to see what's going to happen. You're true when you got a camera on you 24/7. Your true colors come out. You know how you really are. You saw how Conor was. You saw how Ronda was. You saw how Misha Tate was. You saw how all these guys were in favor. You really see how their persona comes out.
Yeah.
And you really see how they really act. So you're going to see how they really act. You're going to get to see TJ and Cody how they really are as a person, not just doing a podcast, not just doing an interview, just like me. People always saying, so everybody's coming up and like, I like this new you. I'm like, listen, man, I've always been a humble and very respectful fighter, but that doesn't get you the fight you want. You have to talk, you have to make some noise, you know what I mean? So with that said, now I'm at this point where it's like, I'm done, being humble and done, biting my tongue. Fuck that. I want to fight the best people out there. I want to go fight Cruz, go beat him, retire him like I did Faber, and move on to the next best thing.
Well, like we were just talking about a minute ago, this time last year, man, you went in there and you beat Alcantara, and now you got married, you got the fight of the night bonus, or, you got a 50K bonus. I forgot which one it was. But
yeah, it was last January, yep.
What did you do with that bonus? I mean, that's awesome to put in your pockets. You're a newlywed, so, what have you been doing with that?
Went to my house. Went to my house. Yeah, nothing special. You try to pay that thing off as fast as you can. Went to my house.
Well, a lot of people don't realize, like, fighters don't live the glamorous life, and a 50K bonus is definitely something to put in your pocket. You just got to pay for your gyms, your training, your diets, the foods that you got to eat. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot of people think, oh, these guys are complaining about the money, but honestly, when you get a 50K bonus, that's gold, Well,
I'm a very smart fighter at the end of the day. This is not my this is my second passion fighter. My first passion has always been teaching, so I'm very successful and very lucky to be blessed to be part of Tiger Showmans and to be able to have my own school in New York City and to be able to teach over 200 students and have great students at the same time. So I'm very blessed and lucky about that.
Well, as we get towards the end of this interview, I have to step out of the octagon for a second. You're from the East Coast. I'm from the East Coast. What have you been up to around here, man? It's been freezing. It's been snowing. Have you been enjoying the weather?
It's effing cold. I wasn't going to enjoy going to Phoenix, go to beat up Caraway and enjoy some warm weather, but obviously that didn't happen. So I've just been training and teaching and, just spending time with the family and, running errands on the weekends when I'm off from work, and I'm not training. It's the same old stuff, different day. Really, it's nothing too out of the norm for me. You know what I mean? Once in a while, spend some time with family on a Sunday or do stuff around the house. Teach Monday through Saturday and train Monday through Saturday.
Any kids on the way? You think you're gonna have a kid?
No
year?
No kids. I want to retire first, spend a year or two without a kid, and then have a kid.
There you go. That's the way to go. So as we wrap up this interview, man, what I like to do is hand the imaginary microphone over to my guest. If you have any shout outs, anything that I missed, your social media tags, the floor is all yours now, Jimmy.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. First of all, thank you for having me for the interview. Second of all, if you guys want to get in shape, learn how to authentic kickboxing and get a good workout, come to Tiger Showman, especially if you're in New York City, East 23rd Street. I'm right at my school. Come in, and even just to say hi. You don't even have to take class. I want to say thank you to Tiger Fight Gear. Was the best gear out there, the only gear I train with. And I'd love to say thank you also to NutriBio, the only supplements I use, who are unbelievable company. Everything's made in-house, so you know exactly what you put in your body, and you know exactly what you're using and how it's going to help you.
I appreciate this interview so much, Jimmy. Where can everybody find you on social media?
Yeah, I forgot about that. You could go, Twitter, Jimmie Rivera 135, or Facebook or Instagram, Jimmie Rivera, and you can hit me up. I mean, after this weekend, some people were upset I didn't fight. Some people had good comments, bad comments. It didn't matter to me. I just appreciate the people that understood that the fights didn't make sense. Nothing was going to help me propel forward. So I appreciate all the people that stuck by me and understood.
All right, guys, make sure you keep your eyes out for Jimmie Rivera. Who knows? He could be the next UFC champion. He's talking about sparring with TJ and Cody and Faber before, and who knows? Dominick Cruz, he needs an opponent. Maybe to get himself back in there. He thinks that he can go in there and beat Jimmie Rivera. I'm interested to see how that would work out. I'm interested to see how Jimmie Rivera versus No Love or even TJ would work out. Let's see what happens. We're going to have to wait. But right now he has his place at number 4 in that division. All right, moving forward, guys, we have another special guest lined up. But really quick, let's start today's show off with a little MMA trivia for everybody.
Game over.
All right, so the way this is going to work is you, the listener, at home is going to get 30 seconds, maybe 20, I don't know, to figure out what the answer to this question. I'm going to give you 4 answers. One of them is going to be right, obviously, and there's going to be 3 questions. The first one starts now. All right, I'm going to start you guys off with an easy one. Who was the youngest champ in UFC history? Was it A, Chris Weidman, B, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, C, John Bones Jones, or D, GSP? I'll give you a second to think about that. One more time. Who was the youngest champ in UFC history? Was it A, Chris Weidman, B, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, C, John Bones Jones, or D, GSP? Or D, GSP. If you guys picked C, John Bones Jones, you are right. Was that a little bit too easy for my hardcore fans? Alright, let's try this one out. What city held the largest attendance for a UFC event with 55,724? I won't say who headlined because then that would be a huge spoil. Was it A, Las Vegas, B, Dallas, C, Toronto, or D, LA, as in Los Angeles? One more time, guys. What city held the largest attendance for a UFC event with 55,724? Was it A, Las Vegas, B, Dallas, C, Toronto, or D, Los Angeles? I'll give you just another 10 seconds. Well, if you guys out there picked C, Toronto, you're right and you're having a great day. Or these are just too easy for you, which brings me to my next and final question. If you get all three of these right, make sure you tweet me out at Pure Evil MMA and say, too easy, Evil Eddie. All right, so third question. Fingers crossed. I hope that a lot of you guys out there get this right. Who was the first Irish fighter to win a UFC bout? Was it A, Tom Egan, B, Neil Seery, C, Norman Park, or D, Conor McGregor? Huh? How about this one, guys? I'll give you just a couple of seconds. One more time. Our third and final question. Who was the first Irish fighter to win a UFC bout? Was it A, Tom Egan, B, Neil Seery, A, Tom Egan, B, Neil Seery, C, Norman Park, or D, Conor McGregor? About 5 more seconds. Well, if you picked A, you are wrong. If you picked B, you are wrong. If you picked D, you are wrong. And if you picked three times in a row, you're correct. The correct answer, guys, Norman Park was the first Irish fighter to ever win a UFC bout. Let's move on to our UFC Pick'em Winners after we follow UFC Phoenix. Let's jump into it now with Minion. Minion, you there, brother?
Since 1993, MMA fighters from all over the world have gone into battle, shedding blood, sweat and tears to prove that they are worthy of holding the title of champion. At every UFC event, as the fighters throw down in the octagon for our entertainment, each hoping to validate that they are the best by someday having a UFC belt strapped around their waist. A second competition rages amongst the Pure Evil army for the right to lay claim to the prestigious Crystal Skull belt, for ultimate pick'em bragging rights over their evil brothers and sisters in arms. And this week, after climbing their way to the top of the Pure Evil ranks, the prominent honours of the Crystal Skull are awarded to...
Thank you, Minion. We have a couple of winners this week. In fourth place, we got Salem with 2,430 points. Third place, your own Minion McGrunion right there. So congratulations, Minion, on that. You came in third with 2,490 points. Second place goes to Disturbed MMA with 2,730. And in first place, no other than our EMT evil brother, Nick, NREMTB. Congratulations, guys. You are this week's Pure Evil MMA winners. And Nick, you are this week's Pure Evil MMA Pick'em winner. If you guys want to play and you are listening to this at home, all you got to do is tweet me at Pure Evil MMA, and I will give you the link. You can join in on all the action. And good luck next week. We're going to be giving a huge award at the end of the year. Good luck. Congratulations, guys. Alright, guys, let's jump into our next guest, Big Billy Swanson, who's going to be fighting Justin Goodin on January 21st. Check it out. What's going on, Billy? It's Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. How's your holiday going?
It's going good. I'm actually right now helping set up for where I'm coaching. We've got our kids club tournament this weekend. We're setting up mats at the moment.
Oh, that's always fun. Well, for all my listeners just tuning in, we got big Billy Swanson on the line, who's going to be fighting Justin Goodin in the main event for Valor fights coming up January 21st. Billy, what have you been training on recently? Has it been your ground game, your striking? What have you been really focusing on?
I've been really focusing on my striking here lately. I mean, not to sound like I'm the best in the world, but my ground game right now is so far. I mean, it's really been untouchable with most other heavyweights. They just don't move like I move, and so I mean, where I realized that I had to work on was after I took that loss to Denzel, was I definitely need to work on my hands and my striking. And since then, I mean, that was in May, and I've nonstop, been really focusing on it and working with good guys like David Robbins and Sid Wheeler and different people like that, and we really helped me come a long way.
We just talked with Sid Wheeler. He was on like a couple of weeks ago. He's a great kid, another up and comer. You guys should all keep your eyes on. But man, since your loss, that you're talking about right now, you've been on a 2-fight win streak since then, and now you got this main event. Valor Fight's been putting on amazing events all year long. I've interviewed a whole bunch of the guys there. They're all young, exciting fighters, and a bunch of names that we're going to be seeing soon. So where do you see yourself by the end of 2017 now?
Well, I mean, the game plan really for me is, in a year, I've gotten ranked in the Southeast. Over the next year to 2 years, I would like to get ranked nationally and, really establish myself very well nationally, like I said, as an amateur. And then hopefully after that, go pro and bang a couple out and have, hopefully, Bellator or UFC knocking on the door.
Well, you know what? Tonight, I'm actually getting all geared up and ready for tonight because Ronda Rousey's going there against Amanda Nunes to try to get her belt back, or Amanda's trying to set a new era for, WMMA. Are you going to be watching tonight? And if so, who are you going to pick? Because I have to ask you that question.
Yeah, I'll be watching tonight, and I would have to pick Rousey.
Picking Rousey?
No one can deny Rousey. She's a good fighter. She, going home just like me. She got exposed. Her striking wasn't where it needed to be at that level, and I really think nobody knows what she's been doing. I think she's going to come back and she's going to surprise some people tonight, and hopefully I'd like to see her walk out with another second victory.
Oh yeah, imagine that. Well, you know what? Last time I think I've been this nervous was UFC 202 when Conor had to go through the same thing. Everyone had their eyes on him to see if he can make this comeback after facing a loss that the world was pointing their finger, laughing at him. Same thing for Ronda, same situation for Ronda here, and I hope her the best. I interviewed a bunch of guys from ATT this week, and they all are rooting for Amanda, of course, but it sounds like Amanda's striking really is on another level, especially from what we've been seeing lately. But it's Ronda Rousey. You know what I mean? This is going to be a great fight, and I can't wait for it. What are you going to be doing? Are you going to be watching it with a bunch of people? Are you going to be watching it by yourself? Are you going to be watching it at the gym while you train?
Well, like I said, I'm out here setting up for our tournament right now. So, when I get done here, I'm probably going to go by Buffalo Wild Wings, and I'll be there with one of my teammates, Jesse Grun, and a couple other people.
So what do you know about your upcoming opponent that you're going to be fighting January 21st for Valor fight, Justin Goodin? Do you like watching a lot of footage, or do you leave that to your coaches?
I don't really. I watch a fighter do a fight. I'm not how their striking looks, how their grappling looks. But, really at an amateur level, it really, somebody can change so drastically. And, somebody might, their hands might be completely garbage at, their first fight, and then by their second fight, they might look like a professional boxer. So, you never really know. So, I think Justin Goodin's a good fighter. He's got a good record, but personally, I really don't think he has anything to offer for.
And, what are your coaches saying about you moving to, the professional level? Because, of course, you're an amateur. You're doing great. You're learning a lot. Some people like to take their time as an amateur. We all understand that because you want to be ready. But, when do you think you're going to make that transition?
Like I said, it'll hopefully, if everything goes well, I continue to win, hopefully within the next year or 2 years. But the main thing is, I'm young, man. I'm only 22. I'm about to turn 23 in March. I've got years. I'm really not in a rush. I plan on being here for a pretty long career.
So for all my listeners out there, we got listeners all over the world, from Brazil to Germany to Canada, California, all over the place. What's it like over there in Tennessee? What's it like around winter time? What's there to do for fun? Can you give a visual adventure for everybody really quick about what Tennessee's like?
In the summertime it's humid and nice and hot. Where I live, about 30 days, about 10 miles north of Chicago. So we got a lot of mountain ranges. You get to kind of you got the scenery. There's a place called Insurance Bluff. It's on Signal Mountain, and it's like a cliff that completely overlooks the whole back side of the valley. It's just
That's awesome.
Great scenery. Winters are typically, a little bit colder. We don't really get a lot of snow, but they're typically, 30, 20 degree weather. It's pretty cold for us. I know up north they're probably laughing at me right now saying that's cold, but I guess everybody's got their, different situations. Down here people don't really know how to drive in the snow, so what we freak out about down here, they laugh at us up there. But no, it's a beautiful view. If you ever get the chance, definitely come check out Tennessee because you got mountain ranges, you got rivers. It's whatever you want to see.
Sorry, my girlfriend.
Great scenery.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, there's some great scenery here in Connecticut too. The United States, definitely some secret locations that are just absolutely breathtaking. So when you got into fighting, in high school or whenever you got into it, who were some of your idols at the time? Getting into mixed martial arts. You with me, brother? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. I got you. Hello?
Hey, Billy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, hey, what was your idols growing up like when you first started getting into MMA? Who were some of the people that you really looked up to or, were inspired by?
I like to say Matt Hughes was a good influence. I can't remember who the fighter was, but playing where he was passed out in the triangle and slammed the guy on the fence, that was a big fight as I was coming up. But as far as me getting into MMA, it's kind of funny. I had wrestled, I came back and I was coaching, and I'd had different people over the time of me coaching, either try and talk me back into going back into school and wrestling or getting into it. At first, I was completely against it, and then one day I was coaching, and my first coach, Jeremiah Gurley, I was coaching his son in wrestling, and he came up and told me to come check out the gym. I went, and it just felt like home, and I've kind of been running with it since. Like I told the last person who interviewed me, man, when I first started a little over a year ago, I was 330 pounds, completely out of shape, and in a year, I've made a drastic transformation with my body. I'm fighting at 265, so just in the weight alone, I've lost 60, 70 pounds. So, I don't know, like I said, MMA has been great to me as far as finding a way to find myself again. After wrestling, I didn't kind of know where to go.
What's your take on, this year we have, fighting in New York. There's been so many amazing events going on this year. What is your take on the most memorable moment of 2016 in our sport of MMA?
I would have to almost say, McGregor taking 2 belts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal, you know, to even have the opportunity to fight for a UFC belt, but I mean, let alone to not only have belt at 145, but then go in there and win in the fashion that he won against Alvarez. I mean, it just, you know, more asserts the point that just a phenomenal fighter. I mean, not facing the crowd, he's the face.
Listen, when we got to the beginning of this year, 2016, Conor McGregor was like, this is also going to be my year. All of us were like, yeah, man, you had a great 2015, but you know, if you can top that, man, you're going to be in the history books. Then he goes in there to fight Nate. He loses. And we're all like, all right, I guess it's you know, all downhill from here, I guess. Then he comes back to beat Nate Diaz. Then he comes back to beat Eddie Alvarez and now become a 2-division champion. I mean, if you told us that at the beginning of the year, we still couldn't believe it, even after what Conor accomplished in 2015. I just think it's amazing. That's an amazing takeaway from 2016. Hey, Bill, I had a great time talking with you. At this point in the interview, you know, I got to ask you as we get to the end, what is your 2017 New Year's resolution? I'll actually be in... tomorrow morning I'll be heading out to World Series of Fighting, you know, for World Series of Fighting in New York, Madison Square Garden. That's going to be a blast. So look for me if you're watching the ball drop. But what's your 2017 New Year's resolution?
Hey, that's funny. I normally don't even set resolutions, but I don't know. Like I said, I would like to over the next year get nationally ranked. You know, bigger sponsors. Really get my name out there more. Even though I'm 4-1 and you know I'm ranked in the Southeast, there's still a lot of people who think I kind of do this as a hobby and not as in a career sense like I would like to take it. But I mean, 2017 is about to be a big year for me, and I'll get my train at. And like I said, I think this won't be the last time that you talk to me.
Well, I doubt it's going to be the last time we talk, brother, because you got the main event for Valor Fights. That's a big step in the right direction. I don't know if you realize that, but Valor Fights been putting on amazing events this year, and to have that, you know, spot on their card is amazing. I can't wait for it. I know all of my listeners are big fans of Valor Fights, Shamrock FC, you know, the smaller promotions, because there's a lot of talent there. And we can't wait to see what you bring to the table come January 21st. You got the 2-fight win streak on you, man, so good luck. At this point in the interview, I pass the imaginary microphone over to you. If you have any shout-outs, sponsors, anything I missed that you want to mention really quick, of course, your social media tags. The floor is all yours now, Big Bill.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'd like to, you know, I thank my friends, family, the kids that I coach, because they're, you know, a big inspiration to me. All my sponsors, I've got 9 different sponsors right now, so I hate to try and list them all and get mad at me. But, like I said, you know, I'd like to thank Valor, all those guys, you know, that they work hard to do what they do. You know, Tim Lloyd, you know, he's trying to make, you know, build his promotion, and I think he's done a great job of that over the past year. And, I mean, I look forward to fighting for him some more.
All right, man. Where can everybody find you on social media?
Find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I think my usernames are a little bit different, but it's Billy Swanson on Facebook. I think I'm Swanson1994 on Twitter, and it might be Swanson1994 on Instagram. I'm not 100% sure.
All right. Well, I'm at the edge of my seat, brother. Enjoy the night. Good luck at your fight January 21st for Valor Fights. Have a great night, Big Bill. Have a great New Year's as well. We have Big Bill's opponent coming up next, Justin Goodin. We're going to be speaking to him in just a second, but before that, you guys out there, I want to give you a huge thank you for all the support, all the shout-outs, the comments, the retweets, everything this week, getting back to me with answers that I asked on last week's show, and you know what that means. It's time for our Members of the Week.
The Pure Evil MMA army is taking over, uniting fans, followers, MMA fighters and elite evil family contributors from all over the world. and this is a call to all MMA fans. Your opinions count, and we want to hear from you. Use hashtag PureEvilMMA on Twitter, or leave a comment on any video or article on the Facebook page or YouTube channel. Find your voice and come join the ranks of the Pure Evil MMA army. Like these soldiers of the week, ready to receive a shout-out salute from Evil Eddie himself.
Thank you, Minion. This week we had a great week, guys, and once again, thank you so much for all your support. It means the world. Between the fan art that you guys have been sending me, the comments, the answers, the questions from all the recent podcasts, I gotta go down the line. First off, Delbert Wilson, thank you. Scream Queen, you get a shout out. Dave Keynes, thank you so much for all the shares, likes, and retweets this week. Brian Brown Butcher, dude, thank you so much. It means a lot. I appreciate everything that you do. And at the top of this list, our brother Yusuf. Thank you, Yusuf, for combining the teams and saving Pure Evil MMA.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
All right, guys, our next guest is going to be fighting Big Billy Swanson, who we just heard from, January 21st for Valor fights. Check it out. So your fight's January 21st. What have you been doing to get ready for this fight? With your fight camp and everything, how's everything going? And what are some of the things that you've been working on?
Fight camp wise, this has been the most intense fight camp I've had in a long time. I've got big plans for 2017, and starting off something. I've been everything balanced between my striking and my jiu-jitsu. I've got my blue belt, Carlson Gracie jiu-jitsu, my instructor Scott Hope. And we keep everything crisp. With striking, jiu-jitsu, cage work. I've come a long ways, short amount of time. I feel very confident. I'm very prepared for this fight. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. This is the most I've ever been prepared for a fight in my life.
Well, it sounds like you have some really good news coming ahead for 2017. Any sneak peeks on that for the podcast, or?
I've had offers, bigger promotions, some that I can't really talk about right now.
Yeah, I know. I feel you.
I just, like I told, all my fans and stuff, just keep your eyes peeled because big things is coming. And, I'm taking my fight game to a whole nother level. And it's going to be exciting. It's one of them things where, I've done this for so long, I don't get that nervous, but just thinking about, the future, the next level, I get a little butterflies thinking about the next level. Yeah, so that's just something I got to get in there and try and work the kinks out as I go,
Yeah, man, I say it to everybody when I interview, amateurs. I've interviewed guys that, have been amateurs for a while. When you're ready and you feel ready, that's the time to do it. Because once you go pro, every single fight really matters. So, take your time, get ready. And it sounds like you got a great camp, people teaching you. Like you said, you're a Gracie blue belt, did you say? Carlson Gracie blue belt?
Yeah.
And, your fight coming up January 21st is on, a pretty big stage for Valor fights, being the main event and all. And Big Billy is a fun fight for you. So if we're looking forward to this fight, what can everybody expect when they do tune in? Do you have a prediction, or do you see this fight playing out in your head, and can you share that with everybody?
I used to be one big hype. I've always been a hype man. Recently, older I get, where I see what the hype does for the fights, and the hype's good for the fights. Don't get me wrong, hype's there, but sometimes we get caught up in the hype, and so I've kind of left the hype behind me.
Mm-hmm.
But my game plan of going in against Billy is go in there and work everything I've been working. I want to go in there and I want to give him everything I got. Everything. from my striking, it goes to the ground. I'm prepared to go to the ground. Like I said, out of I cross train places, and specifically for this fight here, I've been training with the University of the Cumberland's college wrestlers. So I'm prepared. I feel like I'm very prepared. As far as my prediction, I predict it's going to be a good fight, and play the best man.
So I know a bunch of guys from Kentucky. I talk to them all the time, and when I first met them, they were telling me some crazy Kentucky stories about growing up in high school. Do you have any fun country stories from Kentucky that you can share with our listeners and some of your fans that are tuning in right now?
Yeah, when I was 16, had my first MMA fight. I was in a gas station restroom, being a flyer hanging there.
I love the way this is starting, by the way. If a story starts in a bathroom and you're getting ready for your fight, I love it already.
The poster, for your FC for Jimbo Collins. So I called him up. I'm like, hey, I'd like to try this. I was coming in. I was 16. I played football at Bell County High School, and coming in off the streets. I had 2 days. I found the poster on a Thursday, and the fight was Saturday. I showed up Saturday morning, laid in, went and fought on everything, and at first, watching it on for the story, gets good. I watch it all the time on people when I was younger, so I thought, yeah, it can't be that hard. So here I am, I'm 16. I go in for my first fight. I'm nervous. I come out, touch gloves, and we start banging. And I get took down, and right off the rip, I eat like 4 elbows. I was like, oh my God, this is real. And I ended up getting him in a body triangle. I was just cranking with everything I had. That's the only thing I knew to do, I hadn't been training or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Got him in a body triangle. Deep breath. He released his breath. I felt his ribs pop between my knees. That's it, That was the start of it all.
Ooh,
I went off. I fought.
That's
you count all my non-sanctioned fights, I've probably got 7 fights. I'm 8-2. With adding on the non-sanctioned fights,
mm-hmm.
So it's been a journey and it's been an experience. Since I've been training, I'm only interested more into it. I'm ready to see now that I've been training under the legit, and under legit instructors. I'm ready to see where I can go with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, man. And 2016 has been a great year for MMA. There was even a point this year where my mom called me and it was like, can you come over to watch the fights with me? And I was literally blown away by that, just to see, how far it's really, I'm not saying it's mainstream yet, but I'm saying, MMA this year has really come leaps and bounds. Look at Bellator. Bellator's doing great this year. Risen tonight, UFC 207 tonight. Absolutely amazing. What was your favorite takeaway moment of 2016 in this amazing sport of MMA? I mean, there were plenty.
It would have to be when Conor McGregor dominated Alvarez.
You are you were like the 10th guy to say that this week. That is definitely one of the best this year, and that's actually the fight I'm talking about where my mom called me to come over.
Yeah, when I first started watching Conor, I didn't really like him much. And then the more and more I watch him, the more and more I like him. Now he's like one of my favorite all-time fighters. I wouldn't say he's like way up there. I still like GSP and John Jones, Randy Couture and stuff like that. But he's definitely like one of the greatest, I think.
Without a doubt. And then tonight, like we started the interview off with, Ronda Rousey versus Amanda Nunes tonight. How do you see that fight playing out? Like, do you have a prediction for a round or anything looking ahead toward this? This is a pretty big fight for her.
I feel like, honestly, I felt like Ronda should have up fights. She's had a lot of emotional and mental aspects written against her since she fought Holly Holm, and I feel like a good tune-up fight's what she needed. Amanda Nunes, a lot of people overlook Amanda Nunes because, they Ronda Rousey is just unbeatable. But Holly Holm proved that wrong. I honestly feel like if Ronda don't come in and play a smart game, she could get clipped early and be finished, with either a KO or KO ref stoppage.
Yeah, we know Amanda likes to start heavy. So does Ronda too. I mean, look at all of her fights. So this is going to be an interesting matchup here, and a huge fight for her career. Whether she's going to get the win and move forward and get back on track, like Conor McGregor did earlier this year when everyone was doubting him, or if she's going to, fall back, and it could possibly be the end of it. And I don't think that's the case, but either way that goes tonight, I can't wait for it. I can't wait for your fight as well, January 21st for Valor fight. There's going to be an amazing lineup of guys. A lot of my listeners are going to be tuning in. Justin Goodin versus Big Billy Swanson. I can't wait for it, brother. What we do at this point in the interview, I hand the imaginary microphone over to you. If you have any shout-outs, anything I missed, social media tags, the floor is all yours, brother.
Okay, I want to give a shout-out to Extreme Fitness where I train, core martial arts, sports and fitness, NKI. Just tune in. It's going to be an exciting fight. You can follow me on Facebook at under Justin Goodin, Instagram @Goodin32. Just tune in. It's going to be a good fight. I promise you.
Can you even believe it? He called it, clipping Ronda early and finishing the fight. As you can tell, I was stubborn. I was like, no, it was hard for me to see that. It was hard for me to see Ronda get knocked out. Of course, it was a possibility, and of course it happened. Man, was I not expecting that. Once again, guys, I apologize for that. Very underestimated. Amanda Nunes seals her place in 2017, and I can't wait to see what she does this year. All right, so moving forward, make sure you check out Valor Fights. It's always a pleasure and honor and exciting to hear from opponents of one another and get them to go back to back. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let's move on to our weekly MMA news. So one of the big announcements this weekend on this card for UFC Phoenix, BJ Penn versus Yair Rodriguez, they popped up for the Ultimate Fighter Season 25 coaches, and I called it. I said, it's been a while. Like, we already found out who might be on the season, for the trials and everything. A lot of people that we've talked to right here on Pure Evil MMA. A lot of people that were right there in the intro, the intro that we got at the beginning of the show. So it's kind of weird because the way the last season ended, at that time, you usually find out who the coaches are. You get ready for the next season. In this case, it's been almost 2 months now since last season ended. Well, season 25, it's all geared up, set, and ready to go. Cody No Love versus TJ Dillashaw. Of course, TJ Dillashaw was on that season Ultimate Fighter with Bisbing and Mayhem Miller. Same with Jimmie Rivera, who was just at the beginning of the show as well. And what was supposed to be his opponent, Brian Caraway. So here we go, TJ Dillashaw versus Team Cody No Love. Who are you guys rooting for here? This is going to be, the story's there, like Jimmy was saying. The story's all there between the Team Alpha Male Beef and TJ leaving with Dwayne Bang Ludwig moving up to Colorado, and now Cody No Love taking the belt, beating Dominick Cruz, something that TJ Dillashaw couldn't accomplish. And boy, was that an exciting fight. Who are you guys rooting for? I can't wait for this season to start. That was huge news. Let us know on Twitter at Pure Evil MMA. Also, Amanda Nunes calling out the winner of Holly Holm versus Jermaine Durandamine, who I'll actually be speaking to this Saturday night on Cage Side Submissions. Not Holly Holm, but Jermaine. And if you guys remember that video of her knocking out that guy in an actual MMA match, or was it a boxing match? I forget. But you guys can check it out. I'll reshare it on the Pure Evil MMA page. But here's what Amanda Nunes had to say. This is a tweet from Amanda Nunes. I'm ready to make MMA history. Excuse me. I'm ready to make WMMA history. Women's MMA history. Let me try that again. This is from Amanda Nunes' Twitter. I'm ready to make WMMA history. I want the winner, Dana White, UFC, Sean Shelby. So she's obviously talking about the winner of Holly Holm versus Jermaine Durandamine. We're going to have to see what Jermaine thinks about all of this. And honestly, we got Valentina Shevchenko versus Juliana Pena coming up. That is going to decide the number one contender. That is going to decide who's next for Amanda Nunes. I say if Amanda beats the winner of that fight, then she can call out the winner of this Holly Holm versus Jermaine Durandamine fight. But it's never a bad thing to call it out and, get your voice out there. And of course, we got to give her the runner-up, right? I think Amanda would do great against Holly Holm. Wouldn't you guys want to see that? Or even Jermaine Durandamine. Both amazing kickboxers, Muay Thai, boxing. It's got to happen. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with Valentina Shevchenko and Juliana, and that's in the weeks to come. Let me know who you think is going to be next. Is Amanda going to get the winner of the Holly Holm fight, or will she get the winner of the Valentina Juliana fight? And like I said, and the way I started this podcast off, this episode is dedicated to the birthday boy Muhammad Ali. There's so much that this man has done for us in the sport of fighting. If it wasn't for him, there would be no blueprint for Conor McGregor. There'd be no blueprint for Chael Sonnen. He was the original hype man. So happy birthday to Muhammad Ali. God rest his soul. We lost him last year in 2016. Conor McGregor, speaking of the redheaded devil himself, Conor McGregor trying to trademark his name. Man, this guy cracks me up. Why not? Go for it. And also in that same relevance of news, Nate Diaz trying to get his boxing license for the state of Nevada. What is going on? What's the setup? Is Nate going to fight the same night that that Mayweather fights Conor? Is that what's going to be set up? We're going to have to wait and see. Let me know what you think about this. A lot of crazy news this week. On top of it all, Tim Kennedy announcing his retirement. After 15 years in MMA, he announced his retirement on Facebook. We talked with friend Shane Steiner, who's also a big country music star. He came on Evil and Intoxicated with me and Ted Check, and he was telling us, he was like, Tim, he's making his return, but listen, he could retire from MMA and live a nice life. He's actually losing money by fighting. He's losing money. He has a lot that he's doing. You guys know that he has that show, Hunting for Hitler. He has programs that he sets up for people to survive in the wilderness or in dangerous situations. He has a lot going for him. I'm not mad that he's retired. I was excited for him to make the return against Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin's a tough kid. He proved it in there against Tim Kennedy. I wanted to see Tim Kennedy versus Rashad Evans. There's a couple of fights. Even Yoel Romero, I wanted to see that rematch. Let's not forget Tim Kennedy. We'll do a huge goodbye ceremony for him on next week's podcast because we owe him a lot. He's a great guy inside and outside of the octagon. A fighter that's going to be very missed. We're going to miss you. And also, while we're on that, Black Zillions head coach Henry Hooft announcing his departure. The striking coach of the Black Zillions. I don't know what's going to go on with the Black Zillions now. And Rashad even went on the MMA Hour Monday, and he had this to say. The truth of the matter is, the team is splintered. The team is fragmented. It just became a very hard thing for Glenn to kind of keep his grass as far as keeping everybody together, Evans said. Henry wanted to throw his brand into his own thing, and it just wasn't matching up with where Glenn wanted to go. That's part of the fragment. But another part of it was that we didn't have a gym anymore. So this is crazy news. You guys remember that season Ultimate Fighter, the Black Zillions versus ATT. Rashad Evans training over there, amongst other huge stars coming out of there. What is next for the Black Zillions? Losing Henry Hooft, that's a huge loss. And now you got Rashad coming out saying this. It makes me really scratch my head. I wonder what's next for the Black Zillions here. They got a lot of talent there. They've been one of the biggest gyms in the recent years. We're going to have to wait and see, but once again, very sad news coming out of MMA this week. Angela Hill gets USADA exemption to clear for her fight against Jessica Andrade. Is this a safe fight for Angela to return? We saw Angela in the UFC before, and I thought it was perfect that she dropped back down to Invicta. She's defended her title a few times, but now she's facing Jessica Andrade, who's a tough girl. Jessica taking a whole new turn, and she did amazing in 2016. Looks unstoppable right now. There's a lot of matchups I would like to see Jessica Andrade. Is this a safe return for Angela Hill? I don't think so. I'm rooting for Angela, of course, but I don't think she's going to win against Jessica. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with the weight cutting and all that, but as of right now, I'm rooting for Jessica, and we know that Angela's a great fighter. Fun little fact about Angela Hill. Her grandparents, I'm sure a lot of you guys know this, but maybe some of you don't. Her grandparents were actually one of the first people to ever come out and say they were abducted by aliens. One of the first reported cases here in the United States of people to come out. And it was a huge thing because her grandparents are an interracial couple, which was a huge deal back in the day. People would say you're crazy, and I can only imagine the hate that they probably got, but they were one of the lead people to ever come out and say, listen, something weird happened. You guys want to look that story up, go for it. I saw it on a bunch of documentaries. The Hill family, very, very popular in the UFO community. And their granddaughter, of course, Angela Hill. And she's a wild one. Maybe she's an alien herself. Who knows? But Angela gets the USADA exemption, and she's cleared now to fight Jessica Andrade. Who do you think is going to win this fight? Let us know at Pure Evil MMA. And we have to bow our heads for this one, guys. Tito Ortiz announcing that this is going to be the last time he steps into the cage to fight, and it's going to be against Chael Sonnen. This is going to be a wild fight. Chael's getting ready to make his Bellator debut while you got Tito Ortiz walking out. And if we reverse to Tito's last fight, he didn't do that bad. He went up against Liam McGeary. I thought he was doing a great job, but he got submitted from the top. Liam is just that good. He's long, lanky. The only guy to beat him recently was Mr. Wonderful Phil Davis. A lot of people will disagree with me here, though. They think that it is time for Tito to hang up the cap or the gloves. But you got Chael Sonnen in there with him. So it's like, and you got Royce Gracie still active. And Ken Shamrock still active. Tito Ortiz, a pioneer of MMA, bringing MMA into the households of a lot of people. A lot of big fans of Tito Ortiz back in the day. One of the first fighters to ever really voice his opinion out of how fighters should really be treated. Wearing that shirt, Dana is my bitch, saying that he should be getting paid more, saying, well, we're going to leave it there, but he was one of the pioneers of MMA and one of the pioneers of voicing out fighters' rights. We're going to have to see what he does with his journey onward once he leaves the cage. But I think he will make more of an impact in our sport of MMA as the years to come. But we're going to have to wait for this weekend. The Eddie Mercado from Bloody Elbow is going to be heading out to California today. As we are probably talking right now, as you're listening to this maybe, he's walking around California getting ready for Bellator 170. Tito Ortiz versus Chael Sonnen. Make sure you follow him at Bloody Elbow because he's got all the action for you right there in California, representing our East Coast media team. He's also going to be joining us on the MMA Roundtable for end of the year award show. So definitely look further for that. It's going to be going down this weekend right here on Pure Evil MMA on Apple, iTunes, and Podbean, and also on YouTube. But let's bow our heads really quick. 10 seconds of silence for Tito Ortiz. That gets us to our tweet of the week. Our tweet of the week goes to the tweeter who said this out, also a UFC fighter. No one plans murder out loud. 12 Gauge is coming back for blood. Well, if you don't know who I'm talking about, it can only be one person. It is 12 Gauge Paige Van Zandt, who is ready and thirsty to make her comeback. She's coming off that loss to Michelle Waterson, who we spoke to before the fight on cage side submissions, and it was an exciting fight. A lot of people were surprised. They were rooting for Paige. She was coming off that huge knockout win over Beck Rawlings with that switch kick, kicked the can. Michelle Waterson, a true veteran, getting the submission win. Amazing Muay Thai over Paige Van Zandt. One of the best submissions for women last year in the UFC. Who do you guys think she's going to make her comeback against? Is it going to be against Rose? Is it going to be against Michelle Waterson? I doubt it. But whatever Paige does next, guys, she's not going anywhere anytime soon. She's growing as the fights go on. She's not going anywhere. Trust me when I say that. I'm happy to hear that she is thirsty, ready, and hungry for this fight. She's not shying away like she did when she lost against Rose Namajunas. This is great news, and that is why Paige Van Zandt, 12 gauge, gets our tweet of the week here at Pure Evil MMA. Let's get into our next interview, guys. It is one of our headline interviewers of today, Jose Shorty Torres' teammate, who we're going to hear from in a second, the champ himself, who's going to be fighting this weekend for Titan FC 43. But first, let's hear from his teammate.
So, of course, it's the holiday season. All my listeners that are tuning in, all of your fans that are tuning in, just getting off of, Christmas vacation or their New Year's resolution. Man, what have you been up to the last couple of weeks? I know that, you got a fight coming up. You've probably been in the gym a lot, but what else have you been doing, in celebration of this new year starting fresh?
It's kind of been the same, it's been kind of a weird camp because originally I was told I was going to fight on the December 2nd card, Titan FC 42. That kind of fell through, so I've kind of just been training since October, kind of physically and mentally, kind of draining myself, thinking, I'm going to fight December, and then it gets switched up, so it's I kind of had a little bit of a week break around Thanksgiving, but your body still kind of is feeling it because I had about 6-7 weeks training for that one. So kind of just, I don't know, just traveling and tired and kind of just ready to fight, kind of ready to make weight and just get this thing over with, It's starting to get anxious after a while. I start to think about that 24/7. So lately since New Year, it's kind of been nice. I haven't had to work, just training. I'm actually up here in Minnesota now, finishing up my training camp at Ironworks Training Center. I've been training here on and off. Well, I went to school in Minnesota, so I got to train here with them since my freshman year. But now that I graduated, they got some good level guys and some good looks that it made sense for me to come back up. I love working with you guys, so here finishing up with them, and then get ready to catch a flight down to Florida, so down in some warm weather, so that'll be nice. Pretty cold up here right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm at the casino right now at Mohegan Sun. I'm about to cover reality fighting, to see a couple of local fighters, and the whole ride up here, man, it was an absolute blizzard, people spitting out the whole way. So this is what you expect over here on the East Coast, man, and I wish I could be going to Florida in the next week or so. But like you were saying, dude, Titan FC 42 falling through. Jose Shorty Torres, who is also on that card, supposed to be defending his title, good friend of yours. I mean, now I can definitely relate to what you meant at the beginning of the interview when you said, I can definitely relate with what he's going through now. What better time than now? So, what does your family thought of you, fighting? Because it really is becoming more, not a mainstream sport, but it's becoming more accepted in the eyes of a lot of people. 2016 has been a huge year for MMA. How is your family reacting to, their son being a fighter or their cousin, big brother, or whatever they are to you? How do they react to what you do?
No, that's awesome. The support I get from them is awesome. Win, lose, or draw, it's always it. I know they got my back, so that's good to know. I started kickboxing jiu-jitsu when I was 8, and I've been with my coach, and they're actually the ones that kind of kept me in it. After the first year, I was like, oh, no, I want to just play soccer, do this and that, and they kind of kept me in it, and I'm thankful that they did, because look at me now, I'm getting ready to make my pro debut for a great organization, so they always got my back, and that's good to know, I know no matter what happens, they'll be there for me. And so, no, it's awesome. I got 3 little brothers who look up to me. One of them who's about to make his amateur MMA debut as well. So
wow.
That's awesome, yeah.
So listen, I had to ask every fighter I've interviewed this week about UFC 207. Did you catch it? And what are your thoughts on, Ronda Rousey losing the way that she did? Were you expecting that or what?
I was expecting Ronda to lose. I wasn't expecting her to lose that bad and quick. I definitely would have thought that she'd make some adjustments. It didn't look like she really did. Kind of backing up in a straight line, chin up and stuff. But yeah, it was just kind of shocking that it ended so quick. I had Amanda win it, and I told people that I thought Amanda would win it. It was just her time. She was on a roll. And it started with Misha. Well, kind of before Misha, but the way she took out Misha, she made that one look easy too.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Jose actually warned me about this. I interviewed a couple of fighters from over there at American Top Team, and they all said man, watch out, she's gonna blow your mind. I was like, oh, but it's Ronda Rousey, you know what I mean? And boy, they proved me wrong, and I lost a couple of dollars on that one. But either way, man, growing up, MMA, like I said, is still in the leather helmet era. New York, it just became legalized here. Just having a great event, UFC 205, World Series of Fighting. I mean, what would it mean to you to fight in New York? I mean, it's an amazing city of opportunity, and New York, you're under the bright lights. Would you ever be interested in fighting there? And if you did, what would that mean to you as an MMA fighter?
It's actually funny you asked that, because as an amateur, we fought in the first sanctioned fight down in New York. We fought across the street from the Madison Square Garden. We fought at the Hammerstein Ballroom, I believe it was called. But no, yeah, so as an amateur, we already got to experience that. So like when we heard the UFC was like on there, so it's like, oh, that's cool. But and then like it kind of hit us like, hey, we got to do that as amateurs, fight out in New York before these like high level UFC guys did. But no, for sure, as a pro, that'd be awesome to do this at Madison Square Garden. It doesn't get much better than that, I just got to see the outside of it when we fought, but fighting inside there would be awesome. Like just having all those like boxers that fought there before us, and then the UFC 205, which is an awesome event. It'd be awesome. It'd be amazing.
So every fighter has a story. Can you share with my listeners, a little bit about yourself, what you did, how you found fighting, and what training, and jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, everything. What it means to you and your story and journey.
Yeah, like kind of a weird way the way it started. We were at Carnival, and my dad saw my coach, Master Bob. He saw him there, and they had like a mat, and they had like these little kids doing like exhibition sparring and judo throws, jiu-jitsu and stuff. And he was the one that was actually really intrigued by it. So we're there watching, and then he like the following Monday he like takes me to the gym, and I'm like going up the stairs, like my heart's pounding. You see all these kids in their gis and pants and stuff, and they're like everyone's like doing all these throws, and then the next hour they got their gear on, they're like punching and kicking each other, and I'm like, what am I getting myself into? I'm like, I've never done this. Like no one in my family ever did it. But after that, kind of the rest is history. I started kickboxing jiu-jitsu at 8, and then around 6th grade through high school I wrestled, and then around the high school time too I started having Muay Thai fights. I had a couple pancreation fights before I turned 18, and then turned 18. Started my MMA career, and then at the age of 20 I won my first national title and a world title under UMMAF and IMMAF. And then after my amateur career I was able to capture 3 UMMAF national titles and the 1 IMMAF world title. And then throughout my kickboxing I've been able to travel to Brazil, Cuba. So I never would have thought like when I first started that martial arts gave me all this like opportunity to travel, meet new friends and people, and then I'm glad I got into it at a young age, at such a young age, and stuck with it, because it's not easy. I mean, it's a sport technically, but it's kind of more of a lifestyle, there's no really off season for fighting. You gotta be fully committed to it, so, and it's hard sometimes with like work and going to school when I was in school, but it's just things you gotta do if you want to do it. It's not gonna end well, it's not something you can put half effort into. You gotta be either all in or not. So, but it's been great. It's awesome. I couldn't imagine my life without it.
That's a great point. You're either all in or not, because you really got to live it. And a lot of celebrities say that. And it's so true. If you want to live the life, you got to really live it. So as we get towards the end of this interview, what we usually do is hand the imaginary microphone over to you if you have any shout outs, sponsors, anything at all, your social media tags for sure. The floor is all yours now, Carlos.
I'd like to thank my family, my friends, my sponsors who've been with me. The Booty Shop out in Pilsen has been with me since my first amateur title fight. Alpha Pena Wellness Center, Dr. Shooter. All my other sponsors that have supported me, continue to support me. Thank you guys so much. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at LOS. And then there's 2_125. And then my Facebook page is Carlos Hernandez MMA.
Thank you, Carlos. Thanks for coming on Pure Evil MMA. Good luck in your fight. We'll all be watching.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Coming up for one of the big fights this weekend, Logan Hunter Neal. Check it out.
Real
Hey, what's going on, Logan? It's Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA.
Yeah, man, cool.
Can you hear me a lot better tonight, or what?
Yeah, heck of a lot better than yesterday, for sure.
Yeah, man, I was at the casino. It was a blizzard, and it was just a little crazy. But what have you been up to, man? I know that you last fought in June. You got an upcoming fight, and also a benefit for Apex Fights 13. What's going on with all that? Can you inform us a little bit? What you have coming up?
Oh man, just been really just training for this fight. I've been looking forward to get in again and hopefully pull the win out this time, and definitely to better myself.
So also you were telling me that you do some motocross where you're from. You're from Georgia, but you're living in Tennessee right now, or?
No, I'm always lived in Georgia. I lived in Chattanooga for about a year or two, and then just recently moved back to Georgia. But most of my training has been in Tennessee, but I've done some training in Georgia too, so it's kind of all over the place with that.
Well, tell us a little bit about your motocross background. I know that we were talking a little bit about it yesterday, and I think that's an awesome thing for fighters to do, but definitely a scary thing for the company, like Cowboy Cerrone out there going on the jet skis and getting injured. I mean, you got to be real careful. Do promoters or managers or coaches get a little weary with you going out and doing the motocross stuff?
Oh no, not at all, man. I kind of knew that the riding had to stop for the most part when I started really taking fighting serious. I've raced since I was 10, since I was 10, and then probably raced since I was 12, 13. It was a very fun sport, but it wasn't really going anywhere. Just always kind of done it for fun with some good friends, and made a whole lot of friends doing it, and actually met one of the guys today that helped me with MMA. I don't know if you've heard of him, Chad Lavender.
All right.
He's helped me. I met him through motocross, and he's helped me through MMA. He fought professionally for years. So definitely met a lot of different people in it, but he kind of hung it up for the most part. I've still got a bike, and off and on, I'll go ride here and there when I get a chance.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that, when you go riding, whether it's a quad or a motorbike or a motorcycle, it's a huge workout. It's not, you don't just press the gas. You got to put your whole body into all of that. And I usually get a good workout when I go out in the woods.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. And honestly, sometimes it's good to go ride. I have rode during fight camps before, and it kind of clears my mind, and it still helps my cardio. It's definitely a big help, but you have to be very careful while riding with a fight coming up to not get injured.
Well, it's almost so similar in the way that you have to be so careful, but at a high pace. Every second counts. You can't look away for a second. It goes hand in hand with fighting. I mean, do you think that being in such an intense, extreme sport, so to say, kind of helps you feel a little more comfortable getting into the MMA and step into the cage?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. There's nothing, it helps with the adrenaline dump before a lot of fighters get super nervous before they walk out for their fight, especially on the amateur level. With motocross, man, I'm used to lining up on the gate with 20, 30 riders next to me, and every one of their bikes revving just as loud as mine before the gate drops. You're all going into one tiny turn to pull a whole shot, and it's all of you. And walking out for fighting is practically the same thing, it's like dropping the gate when you step into the cage.
So I've been getting a lot of fan mail for people asking me to talk about with dieting with fighters. Can you give a little background to my listeners out there, what you do in preparation with your diet to get ready for a fight? Not so much the week of the fight where you got to cut all the weight, but how do you keep yourself healthy with dieting and stuff?
And I'll be honest, it's very hard working a 10-hour job with kids and a girlfriend that cooks very well. I just try to eat lots of grilled chicken, and I drink only water or protein shakes. I pretty much cut out the junk food. Like I said, it's definitely hard. I mean, you do have your slip-ups here and there, I can't lie. But definitely try to stay focused on eating as clean as I can while working a full-time job.
Especially right after you're done fighting, you definitely got to go out and crave a little bit after the extreme weight cut. Going in there and fighting. What do you like eating after a fight?
Oh, shoot, man. Golden Corral. Anything I can get my hands on, okay?
What about the little one? Do you bring the little one out to eat a lot, when you're done with your fight? Because I'm sure that's like a great time to spend with, the children. You got a couple of weeks to spend with them, and you're finally done with training. I mean, do you go out with the kids a lot, or are you like staying home with them?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, all of our kids are very young. I had a daughter before I met my girlfriend, and she had a son, and then we've recently had a son together. So we've basically got 3 kids. I get my daughter here every other weekend, and we definitely go out with them and spend as much time as we can with them.
Well, man, I got to give your girlfriend so much credit because it takes a tough girl to date a fighter. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure, man. Fighting is a very selfish sport in a way. It definitely takes a lot of time from family, but to be able to come home and still be a dad or be a boyfriend, you gotta learn to balance it out, and it can be hard at times to separate those two.
Yeah, man, it's 2 different worlds. I mean, like you said, you really got to be selfish. It's a selfish sport. You're not on a team. You got to really perform at your peak. And once you hit that professional level, especially, it's not like the NFL where, all right, it's 2017. I'm going to start my record off fresh. Every fight matters, So you definitely got to be selfish. And like I said, it takes a special woman to deal with that and have kids. So what do you do to keep her happy is the question.
To keep her happy?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I try to spend as much time as I can with her while I am home. And like I said, we work 10 hours a day, so sometimes I'm getting off work and heading straight to the gym, and I might not get home till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So we try to watch a movie or something, eat a little bite, and, on the weekends we go out as much as we can and just spend time with each other when we do have it.
So your record right now, you're 2-1, of course. What are you doing to get ready for your upcoming fight?
Oh, man, just focusing really hard on definitely working on jiu-jitsu and wrestling. That's how I lost my last fight. Felt like I was winning it for the most part, and it was a heck of a fight. Definitely got caught on the ground, though, and put a big hole in my game at that point, and definitely has improved a lot since that fight. So I've been working on a lot of jits and wrestling, just to try to stay in shape and slick off my back and trying to just not get submitted again. Definitely want to win.
Can you hear me, Logan?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I just got so nervous for a brief second. So what do you say in response of, UFC 207 just passed and, Ronda Rousey, of course, was an amazing champion up until last year. I mean, no love lost on my end because I've been watching fighting for long enough where I know that fighters lose here and there. It's the game of fighting. And it does take a little mystique away, but doesn't mean a fighter can't come back. And it doesn't mean we haven't seen fighters coming back in the past. Look at Muhammad Ali. I got pictures all around here because it wasn't when he was on top where, I really remember. It's when he was the underdog where people thought he couldn't come back, where he was pissed that he was the underdog, that he still felt like the champion, and he stepped in there to prove it again, man. What's your take on UFC 207? Ronda Rousey, of course, is the main talk, but the real talk should be about Amanda. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this, Logan.
Man, I definitely think Ronda should have definitely trained her stand-up better.
Yeah.
As we all seen. Stand-up is just as important as going to the ground in this game. For a long time, Ronda would take people down and win the fight, but, I've always said, you take a good stand-up fighter and say he's knocking everybody out, well, he'll eventually, and he's defending every takedown. There's eventually going to be that guy that can take you down and beat you. And same thing, if you can take everybody to the ground, there's eventually going to be that guy that can keep you from taking him to the ground and knock you out.
Exactly.
So MMA is definitely a sport that you have to be ready in all aspects, and you can't just train one thing. You can't just rely on one thing. The game is constantly evolving, so you can never focus on just stand up or just jiu-jitsu or just wrestling.
So can you tell everybody why it might be a little hard? Like, all right, you're going there, you're champion.
You lose 2 fights. I mean, what would keep you with your current camp? I mean, a lot of criticism is going towards Edmund and, his striking, Ronda's striking and everything. But, what do you do in that position? I mean, her boyfriend's training with the same guy, and a lot of people at that gym, if we look at the records this year, really didn't do that well. And, of course, Edmund acting out. What would you do in Ronda's position to get geared back up? I mean, we probably won't see her step back in there this year, but, at some point I would like to see her step back up in there. What do you think she has to do to make a comeback?
Oh, man, I just think that, maybe if she's super comfortable with her gym, maybe, do a little cross training, visit other places. There's nothing wrong with that. My coaches have always encouraged cross training. They've never been like, oh, you have to stay here, or you're a nobody. My coaches are very open to that. Cross training, going to other places to visit, learning new things, because every gym has a different way.
So there's like a loyalty aspect there too, because like her mom definitely doesn't want her to train there. So say for instance, you're training with your team and whatever happens. Your girlfriend's sitting there saying, I really want you to leave this team. What would you do? I mean, that's a tough position. I mean, at one point you want to stay loyal to your coaching, but clearly there's problems there. And on the other hand, there's these people that you love. They're not your yes men. You know what I mean? So they're trying to, what would you do in that position? Do you listen to your girlfriend or do you stay with your coach?
Oh, man, I would say, definitely probably look at changing things up a little bit. If I lost 2 professional UFC fights in a row the way I did due to a stand-up aspect of the fight.
Exactly.
Same thing with Conor McGregor. He's one of my favorite fighters, but you see what happened when they took him to the ground.
Yep.
But then he come back, and he changed his training. He learned he focused more on defending or takedown. He learned you can't just stand up the whole time. This is MMA, not boxing or a jiu-jitsu tournament.
Man, 2016 has been one hell of a year for MMA. There were so many standout points, like you said. Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz won, absolutely unforgettable in my opinion. And a lot of people are like, well, he can't be Fighter of the Year, this and that. Who would you give Fighter of the Year to this year, 2016, for the UFC?
Oh, man, as big a fan of Conor McGregor as I am, I think Cody Garbrandt, man, he's awesome. He dominated it for 207. That was an awesome fight. I've just recently kind of started keeping tabs on that guy, and he's an awesome fighter. So I think he can definitely get it.
Is your girlfriend big on watching fights as well, or does she, not really too familiar with it?
She actually, like I said, Chad Lavender, who I mentioned earlier, is kind of a funny story. Her dad is Chad Lavender, so she grew up around fighting her whole life. Her whole life she's been around it, and so it's nothing new to her.
So where would you like to be by the end of 2017, and did 2016 go your way?
2016 didn't necessarily go my way. After I lost my last fight, I had another fight coming up. Sparring, I broke the cheekbone, and then probably 2 months later, I actually had a heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty young. So it didn't really go my way. So by the end of 2017, I'm definitely like to have a few wins under my belt and see where this thing goes. Stay healthy.
Well, I'm sure all my listeners. I'm sure all of my listeners right now who are listening to this are scratching their head with their morning coffee or on their jog going, wow, how did this young kid have a heart attack? I mean, can you answer that question for them? I'm sure they're all puzzled about that.
Oh, man, I had strep throat multiple times in a row, and somehow the fungus or the mucus or whatever from strep throat actually caused one of the, an opening in my heart. So,
wow.
First signs of it was, I was at work one day and my left shoulder kind of started hurting. I was like, no biggie. I thought it was something maybe overworked in training, and then got home that night, and then my jaw started hurting real bad. My left shoulder was hurting. Thought somebody was grabbing the center of my chest. Well, this was on Wednesday night. I didn't worry about it. So Thursday and Friday I went to work, still hurting. And then Saturday morning, I was in working some overtime, and was just in there working away, man. And I guess got my heart rate up or something, and it
it hit me like, dang, you got to do something, you know. And I told my boss that something's not right. Called my mom. She came and got me. Went to the ER, and sure enough, that's what it ended up being.
That's really scary, man, for an athlete to undergo a heart attack. That's crazy, man. I hope that doesn't ever happen again. And like you said, when it happens, it's not like you really know what's going on. I mean, I went to EMT school, so I got like a little background in that. And a lot of people, they'll usually go get checked up when it's over, and they're like, I had a heart. They're like not even clear on what exactly happened. And
yeah, crazy.
What did the doctor say when you got there? Like, is that a normal thing for young athletic people who are in shape to really get that?
No, not at all. He said, he was like, this is very, I can't believe it. You're 23 years old and you're in great shape, and here you are, and I had to go to the ICU for a few days after that. It was definitely a wild experience, man. I was in the hospital for a week or two, or about a week, and that was crazy. But, I had family and friends supporting me out the whole way, and it was just like getting back up off your butt from a fight, I mean, you just got to keep going with it.
So when you sign up for your next fight and you got medicals to do, that's on the list, right? They see that. They knew that, you went through that this year?
Do what now? I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
So when you go to the doctor to get, ready for the upcoming fights, whatever, you do your medicals and stuff, they're aware, like, what happened this year, right?
Right. I mean, like I said, that I went back to my checkups and everything's looking good. So
awesome. Man, that's a huge relief.
Go with.
God bless you, man, because we're all looking forward to your fight. There's been a lot of young fighters coming up in the last couple of years that have been doing phenomenal. What can everybody expect when they tune in to watch you fight? What are they going to see?
Oh, man, I mean, it's going to be a great fight. I feel like my opponent is a good fighter, too. Definitely, I think it's definitely going to be a fight to watch, I don't want to speak a ton on it because you can never know what's going to happen, but I definitely think it's going to be a fight to watch, and I'm very confident about it.
Well, we can't wait for that. What we like to do at this point in the interview is hand the imaginary microphone over to our guest. If you have any shout-outs, sponsors, social media tags that'll your fans can reach out and find you. The floor is all yours now, Logan.
Okay, I'd just like to thank Cat Lavender, Jeremiah Gurley, Jesse Grun, all my teammates, David Robbins, Larry Scott, Stacey Meeks, Matt Harris, every one of those guys, man, I've definitely been very appreciative too, and don't really have any sponsors right now, but, all these gyms that are letting me train there, I definitely appreciate it, and Core One Fitness in Fort Oglethorpe, definitely a big help.
Well, have a good night. Where can everybody find you on social media really quick, Logan?
You do what now?
Where can everybody find you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, if you got it?
Yeah. You can find me on Facebook. My name's Logan Hunter Neal, obviously. Instagram is Logan_Neal93. Just look me up. There's videos of fights on there. There's pictures of fights, motocross, anything you want to know about me, it's pretty much on there.
Alright guys, it's that moment you've all been waiting for. The champ himself will be fighting this weekend on UFC Fightpass for Titan FC 43, defending his title against Pedro Nobre. You guys already know who I'm talking about. The guy who helped TJ Dillashaw in his upcoming fight at UFC 207 to defeat Lineker. You got a black eye from TJ Dillashaw. No other than Jose Shorty Torres himself, coming on Pure Evil MMA for the second time. Here's what he had to say.
Everything's great, man. How about yourself?
I've been doing awesome, and you know what, man? I was so excited. The one thing that I really was upset about towards the end of this year was your fight not going through. I was like, no way, out of all the fights, I was like, had to be that one, but we just had great news that you're going to be fighting the same opponent, Pedro Nobre, coming up on UFC Fightpass for Titan FC 43. How are you getting ready for this? Because, last time you were getting ready, it got cut off, and now you're right back in the game. So, what's changed, if anything, and how are you getting ready?
Trust me, I was just as disappointed as you were. I think biggest two reasons I was disappointed was, one, Pedro Nobre is a veteran. It'd be an honor to fight him and prove that I am the undisputed champion. And also, man, I missed Thanksgiving. I was cutting weight. I was getting down. I was like, so you're telling me I missed Thanksgiving? No, I'm pissed. So, overall, I mean, so for people who don't know, 2 weeks before my fight, I was, or a month before my fight, I was in Colorado for 2 weeks training with Tim Elliott, who was the undisputed champ at the time. Yep. Brandon Moreno, who beat Ryan Benoit later on in the 2 weeks later. Eric Shelton, Joseph Benavidez, and TJ Dillashaw. So I'm sparring with all those guys, and these guys, top-ranked guys. So I'm really happy about it. I'm having a good time. Then I find out a week before the fight that my fight got, gets canceled. Like, oh man. Well, the plus side was no matter if I, fought or whatever the case may have been, I was going to go back to Colorado to help TJ get ready for John Lineker because my style is very, very forward, very aggressive. I don't care if I take a couple shots to give you one good one. And we ended up sparring before I was getting ready for my fight. And he goes, dude, can you come back and help me for Lineker? And TJ doesn't at all, hire people to come help him. So I was like, yeah.
Yeah, man, because I actually had that picture of you and Tim getting ready.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, Jose, you're cutting out a little bit.
It was awesome. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, now it just caught up.
Yeah, it was cool, man. Getting to spar with all those guys, Joseph Benavidez, hashtag this is strange little men, and then being able to come back. The past 3 weeks, I actually just got back for Christmas Eve. The last 3 weeks, I've been going 100% sparring almost every other day with TJ Dillashaw. And I mean, this guy goes 100%, whether it's sparring, drilling, doing situations, no matter what the case is, he's always full game, and it was awesome to go with him. I learned a lot, and that makes me more prepared for Pedro Nobre.
Well, since Tim was the champion right before you were, and then you went to go train with them, the big question this week on Pure Evil MMA episode number 32, the first news story we broke was, of course, you getting the fight back, and we wanted to know if now you are the champion instead of the interim champ. Are you now the champ?
Be the champ since Tim Elliott won the tournament, which signifies Titan FC's seniority in the promotions. He proved that he's one of the best. Looks great because of it, and he moves up and gives Demetrius Johnson a run for his money. That was an amazing fight where I'm watching like, yeah! And because of that, I'm now the undisputed champ, and I want to be able to signify that by beating Pedro Nobre.
So we spoke a little bit about this on the Halloween episode that you're on with Bilal, how you're getting ready for this matchup. Just to refresh everybody's mind, what are some things that you've been working on to get ready for Pedro? Because like you said, he's a veteran. This would be a great win on your list and to defend the title as well.
Well, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to fight him, because he is a veteran, he was in the UFC before, and to be just inducted into the UFC states that, hey man, you're some of the best of the best. You might not be numbered in ranking, but you're some of the best of the best, and that's what I want to show people right now. Besides being the undisputed champ, I'm only 3-0 with a huge amateur record, but 3 professional fights is very, very small compared to 18-2 Nobre and some of the guys in the UFC. I want to show the UFC that I can beat somebody who's been in there already, and I can beat veterans. And I mean, for me, hell, my last 3 weeks were with the former Bantamweight champion, a guy in a higher weight class, a guy who does nothing but move, a guy who I believe is 100% better than Pedro Nobre. Then you're going with Tim Elliott, who was the undisputed champ, a guy who's already experienced Pedro and beat him. So going with these guys, and Joseph Benavidez, who's #1 in the world behind the champion, Demetrius Johnson. I mean, if I'm holding my own with these guys, I'm not worried whatsoever against Pedro Nobre. I think it's just, if I don't move forward, that gives him nothing but time to attack, and I believe he's phenomenal at coming forward. But overall, I'm too forward an opponent. I'm too much like John Lineker. I believe a little more technical, but overall, I'm too forward for people to push me back. That's all I've been embedded in me, was going forward, no sideways movement, no backwards. I just want to go forward and put on a good fight. And I think Pedro's actually going to have a really hard time with me, whether it's on the standing or on the ground.
Did you have any words with him? Once you found out that the fight wasn't going down, did you say anything to him, reach out to him, or his camp at all?
So the biggest thing, and I tweeted about it. I give people the benefit of the doubt, whether, people do like to call him as the actor or whatever the case may be because of his, UFC days of possibly faking an injury. He said that he tore his ACL, or that's what his camp said. So I was like, oh man, that really sucks. I know it was a big fight for him. It was a big fight for me, and hey man, this stuff happened. So I reached out on Twitter, was saying it really sucks. My fight's off, but I wish Pedro Nobre nothing but the best and a speedy recovery. And whether you want to say it or not, the speedy recovery came true. I get a call 2 weeks ago saying that, hey, Pedro Nobre has a small tear. He's actually fine, and he's ready to fight in January. And I'm like, Juan, then what doctor said it was an ACL tear? And the biggest thing is I know he has weight cutting problems. I have cut weight with him twice before in the last few Titan FC events that we were both in together. And he cuts a lot of weight. He does it in a very, very bad way. And I understand it. And I believe it was a weight cutting issue. But whatever the case may be, I'm hoping that he shows up on January 21st. And I'm hoping we can put on a show.
What guys do you personally work with to cut weight, and how do you go about dieting and all that?
So the funny thing was I wrestled 125 in college, but it pretty much traumatized me. I didn't know how to do it right, and I completely struggled when it came to making weight, and it immediately affected my performance every single time I went in there. But when I turned pro, my first 2 fights were at 35 because I was like, I just don't want to do it. I don't care if I'm 5'4" or not. And I ended up meeting Luis Giordano, Nutrition, who works with Sergio Pettis and John Jones, Johnny Hendricks for this upcoming fight, and so many more. And he was helping me in my first fight. I got super lean, helped me for my second fight, and then he, told me, hey, how about you drop down to 25? That's when Tim Elliott ended up getting bumped up, and they had the vacant belts. I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I trust you. You do a phenomenal job with me so far. We'll see how it goes. And I've never made 125 so easy. And then actually, for this last fight, I was 145 2 weeks before. Like, my body just gained a little more muscle than I wanted, and I actually was only 5 pounds over the Monday of. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm drinking a gallon of water a day. I'm eating 4 meals a day. This is phenomenal. Like, thank you, Lou. And now, sadly, the fight got canceled. But we're working together for this fight, and I'm just excited.
Where are you right now, Shorty? It looks like you're in like a 3rd grade classroom. You got the world globe behind you, some inspirational quotes. Where are you right now doing the podcast?
I'm actually down in St. Louis. I went to go visit my fiance. She's back down here in school at McKendree University, for her. Right. So she wrestles, and she has to be here early for wrestling season. I'm, again, she's in school. I'm always traveling. I was 3 weeks in Denver, Colorado. Before that, a week in Chicago, and then down in Texas. And again, I travel a lot, helping other fighters and helping myself train in the meantime. So now I'm just traveling right now, just enjoying New Year's down here with her. Be here for 2 weeks, and then go to Chicago, and I might actually fly to Jersey to go visit Luis Giordano and get that last week of proper eating, proper weight cutting. He owes me a couple meals, So,
what are you going to be doing for New Year's? Of course, we just had Christmas. It's a crazy week. You got to get ready for your fights. You're with your girlfriend. I mean, there's so much going on, but we have this new year coming, and it's been a crazy year of 2016. We're going to start it off fresh. How are you going about doing that?
It's funny because 2016 was horrible for everyone else. For me, I had my professional career. I had 3 wins, undefeated. I got a belt. I have the UFC looking at me. The only flaw I had was missing Thanksgiving and not fighting December 2nd. That would have easily ended my year on a high note. But, right now for New Year's, I'm just, staying with my fiance, just getting ready. And she has that wrestling mentality. She's super strict. She doesn't at all let me cheat on my meals or let me break if I I don't want to go run today. She'll push me up. She'll go run with me. So overall, I'll be working out most likely New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, but just spending time with her. And overall, just getting ready for the fight. I mean, I'm already set. I've been at 3 straight training camps in a row, and no fights. So I haven't fought since August, but I'm pretty much ready. I mean, I just went 3 straight weeks with TJ, and we're going 5 rounds back and forth, and 8,000 feet. So overall, I'm ready conditioned right now. I think I'm just gonna run and drill the rest of the camp because there's no reason to kill my brain if I don't need to.
I have to ask you this. I have to ask everybody this, even people on the street if I want. Who do you think's gonna win, Ronda Rousey or Amanda, coming up this Friday?
So I did a podcast yesterday and we brought this up. I think Nunes is going to win. And the reason why, even though Ronda Rousey looks phenomenal in her Reebok stuff, she's coming out, she's hyping up the fight, whether, I don't want to be on camera, I want to be on camera, whatever the case may be. I just don't think Ronda Rousey she was. And even if she is, I think everyone is starting to catch up, and I believe her fights have gotten tougher every single one. Miesha Tate, the second time, was able to get closer to beating her. Obviously, Holly Holm was able to knock her out and demolish her. I think Amanda is too forward and puts too much pressure on her to let her, win the first round. And I think Ronda losing the first round is mentally damaging for her.
Yeah, that's going to be
huge for her. She's had big head on her shoulders, walks with her chest high. She's a very confident person. Again, I respect that to the fullest. But she also has that mentality where, oh man, this girl's better than me, and it slowly starts coming down. So I think Amanda's going to be able to finish in the first round. She has heavy hands. That's where Ronda struggles. And again, Amanda knows that she wants to go to the ground. If she's that strong and she's smart enough, she's going to be able to stay on her feet, and I think she's going to be able to knock out Ronda. I hope, the best for Ronda, but I just don't see it.
Well, there's one more fight I have to ask you about. Dominick Cruz versus Cody No Love. Now, Cody kind of jumped the ladders really quick. I personally thought TJ deserved the shot, and they said it had Cody fight Lineker. It didn't work out that way. What do you think is going to go on for the Dominick Cruz fight, and also, TJ's fight, because that's a fight no one's even been talking about this week.
Yeah, I mean, Cody's a good-looking guy. He's smart. He's been doing a lot of things. He's knocking out people. And, he's a young fan favorite. For people who don't know MMA, people are like, oh, I know that guy. He's got tattoos, whatever. That's Cody. Yeah, that guy, and they want to see him fight. And obviously they pushed him up and gave him the right fighters. And, again, everything's worked out well for him. That's awesome. And I'm not saying he's not good. I believe he can be a champion one day. I just think he's moved up too fast. And Dominick Cruz, he's faced nothing but guys that fight like Cody. Against guys who want to brawl. But, I mean, again, TJ, I believe TJ won that fight against Dominick Cruz.
I was just saying that.
But, if TJ had a problem with him with all the movement, and TJ's a movement king, and I can say from experience, then what do you think a guy standing still is going to be able to do? Again, I think Cody can knock him out. I think that's awesome. If he clocks him, that'd be freaking phenomenal. He's a huge underdog win, but I just don't see him touching him. I believe he's going to get schooled.
Well, we're
this fight. I see him losing any other way besides a unanimous decision, but I think Dominick Cruz is going to have an easy fight.
Well, we're going to have a lot to discuss once that fight ends. And like you were just saying with TJ, I mean, he put together a great game plan, the movement that he was even working on, the amount of punches that he was throwing. You actually just got to train with him. So how do you think he's going to make out with the Lineker fight? Because he looked great in the Assunção fight. A lot of people thought he should be fighting Dominic here. How is he going to do against John?
It's funny because everyone's like, oh, will you spar like Lineker? I'm like, a little bit. Lineker keeps his hands down here. I'm more of here. I throw more straights. He throws, hooks and just round punches. And, man, anytime you try to imitate someone, for some reason, I always get hurt. like TJ just goes 100%, whether, again, I don't know if you see my eye, but I have a nice little black eye. He caught me with a nice uppercut, and again, TJ is trying to knock you out. He's 100% into the game. He wants to be the champ again, and I'm a little biased here, but I can say from experience, I've never seen or even sparred with a guy who's moved like this. And again, I'm as forward as Lineker. I love the game. I love to put on a show, mainly stand-up, but I personally think he's going to take down Lineker and just pass him out in the third round. I actually think he can submit him. I don't know if he'll be able to knock out Lineker because Dotson was able to clock him a few times, and it was like, come on, man, I'm ready for it. And it's like, dude, I've been dazed by Dotson. Dotson hits hard, and I can usually take a shot. And with those little gloves, man, I applaud you, but I think TJ is going to be able to just rough him up. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he doesn't get caught. Lineker's very, very forward. Hopefully for him, he knows how to cut off a cage and, stop a takedown.
So as we get towards the end of this interview, what can everybody expect from your fight? Do you have any predictions or anything at all that you can let us know about?
Yeah, man, I think Pedro Nobre will be my toughest fight. I hope he's my toughest fight. I would love a Carlos Condit, Robbie Lawler type of fight, or Swanson Chow fight. That would be amazing, But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I don't see it that way. The only time I can see him for an opponent do that, I can see me finishing him in the fight. I don't know what round. I'm going to say 2 or 3. He does gas out. He has a problem cutting weight. I'm nothing but forward. My conditioning tank's always great. And again, we saw me fight Abdiel, a guy who does nothing but move, and I was able to knock him out. If I have a guy standing right in front of me, I'm going to have an awesome time. So I believe I'm going to either TKO him in the second or third round.
You know what we do at this point in the interview. I hand the imaginary microphone over to you if you have any shout-outs, your social media tags so everybody can find you. And we're so excited to watch Titan FC 43. So happy that you got this fight. Where can everybody find you if you have any shout-outs? The floor is all yours, boss.
I appreciate it. I'm really happy that, I was a co-main event for Titan FC 42, and now only at 3, and now I'm getting promotion on UFC Fightpass. So I'm happy. Fingers crossed everything goes well and win this fight being the UFC. But I obviously got to thank King Love Communication for helping me out. Luis Giordano for the shout out. Again, helping me out on my nutrition. Bad Boys for supporting me. And again, if people want to follow me, Jose Shorty Torres MMA on Facebook, Jose Shorty Torres Instagram, Shorty Torres 125 on Twitter. If you want to support Team Shorty and showing off this hoodie I have from my logo, Jose Shorty Torres.com. The Wasco Center in Coral Gables, Florida, live on UFC Fightpass. Thank you guys so much.
Alright guys, do not miss out on Titan FC 43 coming at you this weekend on UFC Fightpass. And I say this all the time. If you don't have UFC Fightpass yet, you're crazy. If you're an MMA fan, it's the Netflix of MMA. And they always put on great shows. Invicta's on there, Titan FC's on there, and a bunch of other national promotions, regional national promotions are on there. Combat's America, that's going to be going down Thursday, I believe. But definitely check out Titan FC 43 going down this weekend, January 21st, as Jose Shorty Torres defends his title for the first time against the veteran Pedro Nobre. So you know what we like to do as we edge towards the end of the show. We usually like to go out with the next event coming up for the UFC, which is Valentina Shevchenko versus Juliana Pena. That's going down January 28th, so not this weekend, guys, but next weekend. Shevchenko is at the number 1 contender, Pena at number 2. Both girls have only lost 2 fights. Pena is 9-2, Shevchenko is 13-2, and I've actually got to speak with Valentina before face-to-face about her upcoming fight with Juliana, because remember, originally at UFC 205, Juliana wanted nothing to do with Valentina. She thought Ronda Rousey was going to be her next opponent. She was having dreams about it. And maybe that's what should have happened. Shevchenko's already fought Amanda Nunes. Very close fight. It was a 3-round fight. It went 5. I said it in the past. I'm going to say it again. I think Valentina would have won. She did it in that Holly Holm fight. We saw the first round, Valentina had a little trouble, and then she went right into her corner, fix up a couple of things of her game, and that's what you like to see in champions, is them be able to mold into certain situations where they need to pick up striking or just focus their energy on something else. And that's what she does. Valentina has great Muay Thai. Her sister is the Lion Fight champion over there at Lion Fights. I've been at every one of her fights so far for Lion Fights, actually, as she defends her titles. So I've met Valentina a couple of times. She's a dynamic fighter. And Juliana, I mean, what can we say about her? We're all familiar with her from that season Ultimate Fighter. She's not that much taller, but she does have like an inch or two on Valentina. But if we look at with the MMA math, and I don't like doing it, it's pretty even. Valentina has the better defense. Accuracy is tied. Punches taken or absorbed per minute. Valentina takes a couple more shots, but at the same time lands the same amount as Juliana. Takedown, we all know that Juliana's great on there. Shevchenko is more of a Muay Thai fighter, but Valentina does have 47.6 takedown accuracy compared to Juliana's 66%. And another thing, her takedown defense. That's what is stellar about Valentina. Coming to that, does very well defending the takedowns. You guys are very familiar with her past couple of fights. She went against Amanda. She went against Holly Holm. And she's a young girl. She's only like 28 years old. There should be Sarah Kaufman. I wish they could give her a couple more fights. I mean, she is the number 1 contender now. Juliana's number 2. Juliana's been in the UFC a little longer than Valentina, at least for fight-wise. I mean, the last couple of fights that Juliana had, she beat Kat Zingano earlier this year in like July. Beat Jessica Evil Eye. Who else did she beat? and a couple of other lower named girls that aren't really that active anymore. But you know what? Kat Zingano, Jessica Evil Eye. I mean, this girl deserves a shot in this division, and I think the number 4 place is where she belongs. But now we got Ronda Rousey, who takes number 4. So these 2 girls are next. Valentina and Juliana Pena. Who do you guys want to win this fight? What do you think is going to happen? Is it going to go 5 rounds? Is one of these girls going to finish somebody? Let me know at Pure Evil MMA. Also on this card, guys, not a lot of people talk about. Cowboy is back on a fight card, believe it or not. He fights like every 3 weeks. He's always consistent with this. Had an amazing 2016. Going up against Masvidal here. And these guys are neck and neck with the rankings. Cowboy is in 11th. Masvidal is in 12th. Masvidal didn't have a bad 2016 either. 32 years old. You know he's got heart. His last win, he beat Jake Ellenberger, remember? He beat Ross Pearson in 2016. He did lose, though. He lost to Lorenz Larkin, who's now a free agent. I don't know why Lorenz Larkin's a free agent, but he is. And then he lost to Benson Henderson as well. You know, Ala Quinta he's lost to. He beat James Krause. I can't really think much further back, but you guys are all familiar with Donald Cowboy Cerrone, who had fantastic 2016, same age with a record of 32-7. The striking of Cowboy, the submissions, the Muay Thai, it's all perfect. That fight with Matt Brown, though, back and forth, he was able to finish him at UFC 206 with that infamous leg kick, and then he beat Rick Story as well at UFC 202. Remember, he was coming back off that loss against RDA, beat Alex Oliveira, and then went up against Patrick Cote. Amazing 2016. That's what, 4 fights he won in 2016? Crazy. So now, January 28th, he's going to be fighting Jorge Masvidal. So I'm looking forward to that one. That's the co-main event of UFC Fight Night. And then Andrei Arlovsky. And it's Francis Ngannou, who just fought 2 weeks ago, I'm pretty sure. 2 or 3 weeks ago. Remember, he got that crazy submission, just throwing his opponent around. He only has 1 loss. Arlovsky having a rocky road. He's still in the 7th in that division, though. Now, Arlovsky, even though he's lost a couple, it's all top talent guys, former champions. He's a dangerous striker. He's got great grappling. He did lose to Josh Barnett, who just popped for USADA. He lost to Alistair Overeem and lost to Stipe. Those are his last 3 fights. Those are his last 3 losses. You know, Alistair just fought for the belt. Stipe holds the belt. His last win was against Frank Mir at UFC 191. You guys remember that one. At the end of 2015, and then he beat Travis Brown in an epic battle back and forth, both dudes dropping one another, and then he had the win over Bigfoot, and then he he beat Brandon Schaub at UFC 174 on my birthday, I remember, in 2014. Throwback. I forgot how that fight ended, but I do, though. I do. You know, Brandon Schaub, I'm happy that he retired. I don't think that I don't think it was a bad idea because he's so successful now with what he does with the podcast and everything. I can't remember how the fight ended. It was on my birthday, though. Great fight. Brandon Schaub was one of my favorite fighters, so look out for that. Francis Ngannou has a great chance of beating Arlovsky. I don't know what's going on, if he needs to change his camp. He trains out in Albuquerque, New Mexico, one of the best places you can really train. You know, Ngannou is one of the future champions. A lot of people are saying that he might be champion by the end of 2017. You never know what could happen. And then we have Bruce Leroy versus Knight. Knight only 18-2. Bruce Leroy coming off the loss to Yair Rodriguez in a very close fight of split decision. Knight just beat Hooker. Knight Hooker. I actually interviewed Hooker before that interview, Dan Hooker. But, you know, Jason Knight's got a lot going for him. He's a young kid, 24 years old. Amazing jiu-jitsu. He's been on a 2-fight winning streak now. The fight before that beat Jim Allers. His last loss was to Kawajiri back in 2015. So there's a lot of great fights coming on this card. Nate Marquardt versus Sam Alvey, who had another great year as well. Nate Marquardt ending the year off retiring the Barn Cat. Now, I was excited for the Barn Cat to return. I interviewed him before his fight with Nate the Great. But Tandem McCrory, man, he suffered that brutal leg kick. Nobody really talked about that. You know, a lot of people were writing Nate off, former champion. Shout out to Nate. And then on this card, a Sun Tzu versus Sterling. You know, a lot of top-ranked guys here. Sterling coming off that loss, his only loss. You know, he's 12-1, another really young kid from over here on the East Coast by New York. Amazing wrestling, scrambling. He's tough, creative, got great cardio. He's just a savage when he steps in there. He's coming off that loss, though, to Brian Caraway. A lot of people, including Aljamain, were really writing Caraway off. And we spoke to Caraway's supposed next opponent, Jimmie Rivera, early in the podcast. And Caraway is riding high at the top of this division, but you got to fight people at the top of the division. Before this, Aljamain and Sterling beat, Johnny Eduardo, Mizugaki, Viana, Cody Gibson. So this will be a huge win if Sterling can beat a Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu coming off the loss to TJ Dillashaw. And before that, he disappeared for a while. This was a guy that was destined to be at the top of the division, but kind of shut it away. Great BJJ, amazing Muay Thai. He's got good defense. He's always pushing for action. He's beat Brian Caraway, Pedro Munoz, TJ Dillashaw before in the past, before the rematch. Vaughn Lee, Mike Easton, Johnny Eduardo as well. So this is another good fight. I don't know who I'm leaning towards in this fight. If you guys want to see my predictions, use hashtag @PureEvilMMA or tag me @PureEvilMMA, and I will share my predictions with you towards fight week. We're going to do the breakdown show like we always do. We're looking forward to this fight. I had a great night with everybody. I hope that you all are ready to have this weekend off. And since there is no UFC event, I hope that you guys all tune in to Titan FC 43 to see the champ defend his title. Well, that gets us to the end of the show as the clock goes off. I hope you guys all had a great time tuning into Pure Evil MMA episode number 34. I want to thank all of our guests tonight who all have fights this upcoming weekend. Shout out to Jose Shorty Torres, UFC Bantamweight, Jimmie Rivera, who I can't wait to find out what's next with him. Big Billy Swanson, who's going to be fighting Justin Goodin coming up this weekend as well. Hope you guys have a great night. Remember, Ultimate Fighter Season 25, Cody No Love with TJ Dillashaw. Who do you got? Let me know using @PureEvilMMA. Have a great night, guys, and remember, behave yourselves.